All right, welcome back to You Talk Sports for our game of the night. We are broadcasting live right now, and I'm excited for this game tonight. It is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Memphis Grizzlies. And we're going to be opening up the Zoom room here in just a minute, getting our community in. If you want to join us in Zoom, I'm going to put the link into the chat for this event. And we'd love to have you up here on Zoom with us as we dive into this game. Good to see Vincent made it back, and David and Rain. And we're just now kicking off the pregame show. I'm going to want to get takes from everyone here as to what they're looking for in this game here tonight between the Bucks and the Memphis Grizzlies. So at You Talk Sports here, we come together every night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Today we had our first segment was a response to the Pat McAfee show where he was giving away $500. You're going to want to be sure to catch that if you missed it. And we're now diving into our live broadcast of our game of the night. The game of the night, of course, is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Memphis Grizzlies. Welcome back to You Talk. I can hear just double checking that we're live there, and I'm going to put the Zoom link into the chat. Join us on Zoom. Boom. So our goal here at You Talk Sports is to build a community that watches sports together. Sports has always been there throughout my life. I can tell you there's times when I would say sports literally saved my life. It was the only thing that was really there for me. And, I'm in my 50s now, and it's something that, for 40 years of memories, I feel like I'm a part of the NBA and the NFL and March Madness. Those are my sports. That's what we'll be focusing in on here. And it's always been there for me. It's like a family member. And I love the story and history of sports and the competitiveness of sports. And that's what we're going to get into here. You may not know this, but the Surgeon General every year releases their top health threats to America. And for 2023, they identified isolation as the #1 health threat. You might think, well, what does watching a game home alone, have to do with like my health? Well, my doctor told me that 1 year of isolation, which I lived through during COVID, and since then, I work online and I'm empty nest now. It's been hard for me getting back out there. 1 year of isolation is like 2 years of hardcore stress. It's like 2 years of being in a toxic relationship in terms of the physical harm and stress you put on your body when you are isolating. And, I fall into my comfort zone. Like sports is just there. I'm like, I don't really know if I feel like doing anything today. I'm just as happy watching the game. I'm actually a natural introvert, but even as introverts, all human beings crave connection. And that's what we're called to do. That's what love thy neighbor means, is to be in community with each other. And that's what this show is about, bringing together people to come together, to watch sports together every night, to talk about sports, to build relationships, to friendships, to have fun. And the icing on the cake is to learn about business, because the things that I learned in sports are the things that have made me very successful as an entrepreneur. And they're things that if you played sports and follow sports, they're likely things that you have ingrained in you that you may not even realize and I want to help you discover those things and discover how you can succeed in business or entrepreneurship if that's a path that you so choose. So that's the mission of this show: community and business growth. We just had a segment from one of our sponsors on artificial intelligence. It was funny. I hopped over there on such a tight schedule, and then my camera didn't work on his app, and we couldn't even get me on the show. I was really just supposed to interview and introduce Jonathan. He did a great job. We'll hear from him again down the road about artificial intelligence. He's one of our sponsors for this show. So tonight, game of the night is coming up. It's scheduled to tip off in 3 minutes here. It's on TNT. It is the Milwaukee Bucks against the Memphis Grizzlies. And I would love to get everyone's take on this game. We're going to pull up the game cast and have that kind of center stage here. And, one of the other things I'm doing in building this business is I'm documenting how I'm building it so that our fans can follow along. And, there are millions of people out there that love sports and dream of a career in sports or having a business in sports. I mean, to be able to just talk about sports and make a living, like that's the ultimate dream. And that's the dream that we're making come true. And by you being here, you're a part of, and it's the dream that's possible for you as well. That's the leadership that I'm offering you, is showing you how you could do this as well. And so I'm documenting each step of the way how we're doing this. And one of the things that we're tapping into is these NBA games every night. In fact, let's actually go over to YouTube, and I want to show you guys this because we've got a commercial on before the game kicks off, but we're going to have the game updating here. Obviously, you can't show actual games, right? They're copyright protected. But if you go to NBA and search on YouTube, you guys should be seeing my screen right now, and you click over to live here. You'll see that there are various games that are being live streamed, right? And you'll see this one as 277. This is really just people talking, right? And I looked at this. When I decided to go into any business, I researched the landscape of the market and decide, how can we come in this uniquely? And usually it's about community. That's my specialty in my marketing agency. And so most of these shows, like this show, is just these two guys talking. And people, just kind of want to listen to them talk. They want to hear, I don't know if those guys are experts or anything special. It's hard to build up a show if it's just going to be you talking. You can, over time, you can build up a show like that, but it's hard to do that. And if you ever watch any of these shows, they have super fans. People will donate $5, $10, $20 just to ask a question on these shows, right? So that's kind of the monetization strategies as we start to build this. We're not obviously asking for anything at this point. You're not even eligible to monetize until you have 1,000 fans. So that's one model, right? There's other models here. In fact, let's put in the game let's suppose I'm someone who's looking to watch the Bucks game tonight. I always forget it's not Bucks it's got the K in there, unlike Tampa, which is where I live, by the way. So here's some people that are watching, that are broadcasting the Bucks game, right? And this person, this says, oh, this is not live though, right? We got to stay in live. I was going to say, how do they have 300,000 people watching? Here we are in the live stream of this. And this one has 64 people watching, 26 people watching. Right. And so people come to YouTube because they want to watch the game. Either they don't have the game on TV and they're hoping to find a live stream of the game here, or they are watching that might be some people, but I think most people are watching the game at home on TNT. And they just want to have someone to chat with. And I think this is a great example. This is actually a channel I've been studying, this BL Football Talks. This channel, their chat is usually pretty well blowing up. The game hasn't tipped off yet, so it's still early. There's not much going on here. But this channel gets between 200 and 500 people a night watching the game, and they broadcast every game. So, and all they do is play this EDM music, if you guys can hear that. And, I imagine people, maybe they're muting the game. I'd love to get your take on why you think somebody would be watching this, because this is the audience we want to scoop up into our channel, right? If you're joining our team, you're understanding our marketing plan and where we're going with this, or if you're a fan and you're just curious about how this works, this is the business side of this. And then we're going to get into talking about the game. It's about to kick off in a minute here. This is their chat, and you can see it's got some people that are here chatting. I think this is the main reason that people are coming here and watching this. I think they probably just mute that out unless you happen to like this music. I listen to this if I'm going to the gym, but I probably wouldn't be listening to the music. So you mute that out and you come in here, and then you just have some people to talk to about watching the game, right? And some people might want to just talk in the chat, but as this chat gets more and more people in it, you can't really have a conversation, and you can't really have any friendships this, right? You're just kind of putting in your chat. And again, some people might want that, but there's also a segment of the audience that might want the way we're doing it. And that's the audience that we're kind of looking to scoop up by broadcasting around the game here tonight. So with that in mind, I'm going to put the game cast on center stage. And here it is, so that this will be updating play by play. We'll be kind of talking about what's happening in the game as we're going. And I want to go around the horn and get your takes on this game. And if you're going to be regularly on the show every night, just so you know what game we're doing, it's always the either the TNT or the ESPN game. There's almost every night there's one of those games. And if there's not one of those, there's one on NBA TV. And you don't have to have those channels, but that way you at least know what game we're going to be talking about, so you can come in prepared with something to add to that game. And of course, as we watch the game, you can add your as well. But let's just go around the horn here. If anyone has takes on this game, let's go first to Vincent and then Jordan. What are you looking for in this game, Vincent?
Personally, for me, same like you. I'm just getting back into the basketball swing of things. But the Bucks is on, so I'm looking to see the Greek Freak take over. I don't think Ja Moran is playing. I think he has an injury. But seeing how Memphis overcomes his injury and if they're able to hang on with a team like the Bucks.
Yeah, this will be it's going to be interesting. If Ja's not playing, then what else are they going to have to go to? I don't know if Marcus Smart is playing. It broke my heart when Boston traded him to Memphis. I want to see what's going on with Memphis. They were so good last year, and they should be better with Smart, but without Ja, that might be why. All right, let's go next to Jordan and then Cameron. Jordan, what are you looking for in this game tonight?
Well, I feel like for the Milwaukee Bucks, this should be a fairly easy game for them to get a good win before the All-Star break, because you're pretty much like playing with like the Memphis G League team, like pretty much the coronation of the Memphis Hustle, because their whole all their players, all their starters are out. Like I just saw Derrick Rose is actually out too, with John Moran, Brandon Clark, Bane. I think Triple J is like being like is questionable. This should be a game they should win, and they should win easily. But I'm just so confused how, like, Milwaukee, they're still a playoff team and they're still a contender in the NBA. Like, how are they having trouble? And it's just like, getting rid of a coach is not the answer to just like, fixing their trouble. But I know this is talking about the NBA, but I also want to shout out Caitlin Clark. Like, she just broke the women's college basketball scoring record. She just did it. Their game is going on right now. So I just want to shout out to Caitlin Clark. It's such good for women's basketball right now.
Yeah, we need to do a whole show on her down the road. She's really taken things to another level. I hope they wind up playing UConn in the tournament, because I remember Paige Buckets, right, was her name.
Yeah.
She's actually the same class as Caitlin Clark, and was like all they talked about their freshman year. So I'd love to
Yeah,
see the
it's
two
just
of them.
injuries. Her injuries it's just been like a really big trouble for her. And then also it's just like, Connecticut is not the same like it is no more. Honestly, the big dog
Yeah.
is now South Carolina. South Carolina, Dawn
Yeah.
Staley.
Very true. All right, we are just about to tip off here, and Buck's got the tip. Awesome, and we're underway with our game tracker here. Let's go to Cameron. What are you looking for in this game, Cameron?
So I look forward to I honestly I expect the Bucks to get a blowout victory this game. And if they don't get a blowout victory this game, then that's really concerning for me. Then I'm just gonna not really consider the Bucks a contender right now, because Memphis is so banged up. Even Jaren Jackson is out of this game. John Morant is done for the rest of the season. I think their only starter from that 2021 season is Zaire Williams. He's the only guy on the court right now. And another thing that's hurting the Grizzlies this year, besides injuries, is a couple players that they got rid of. I know I'm not really a big fan of him, but if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you hate him. Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks brought a lot of fire and intensity and did the little things for this squad. And then another guy that I really liked that they got rid of was Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones actually set the NBA record for assist to turnover ratio. And when John Morant was hurt, the Grizzlies were still winning games because they were able to plug Jones in and let him run that squad. But ever since John Morant last year, when he said that they were fine in the West, they have not been fine. They got dethroned by the Lakers. I was just beat by the Lakers. This year they've done absolutely terrible. But yeah, that's the one thing I might take away from this game is Milwaukee blowing Memphis out.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Dylan Brooks. Like I that's my style when I play. I'm not usually the scorer. I'm like the tough guy, the passer, the defender, the rebounder, the guy who sets picks. And Brooks was always great at that. I feel like they really made him a scapegoat for last year and kind of ran him out of town unfairly. And you need toughness like that. Granted, they brought in Marcus Smart to kind of offset that, but defense wins championships. Only one guy can shoot at a time. So,
and as a fan of the NBA, I'm loving this Memphis downfall. I thought they talked way too much trash for not accomplishing anything. And I'm glad to see the words bite them in their butt right now.
well, we're off to a 5-5 start here. We'll see. Hopefully we get ourselves a good game. Last night went right down to the wire with the Bulls and the Cavs. That was a lot of fun with you guys. Let's go next to Will. Will, what are you looking for in this game tonight?
Yeah, how Dame and Giannis kind of work together. That's interesting. I'm interested to see Pat Beverly. I'm hoping with his defensive skills, he hits. Sorry.
You went on mute there. We lost you, Will.
Turn the game on. I turned the game on to the mic. Come on. I'm excited to see Pat Beverly hit the floor at least once. That's my hope. And then Brooke Lopez is my guy. I think he's a really good kind of secondary piece. And then I want to see if Giannis's brother, this is a big one. I want to see if he really deserves to be in the league. I don't know anything about him. He's just like on the Bucks. Like, is it just because they want to keep Giannis? I don't know. I think that's kind of an interesting thing.
I've never seen him play. Granted, I haven't watched them at all this year, besides this week.
He's getting a few minutes a game, so we'll see how he looks.
His brother is, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, they have an interesting roster, Patrick Beverly, like, I thought he was a podcaster. I thought he was out of the league. I didn't know he's
he's doing both.
Still playing. I'd kind of didn't really consider him relevant either. Like he's like this scrappy guy you bring in for defense. And yet he's kind of getting dubbed as like the most important trade that was made at the trade deadline. As we go today, we'll get into talking about all the trades the teams made or should have made. Let's go next to Moses. Moses, what are you looking for in this game?
So my pick for tonight is going to be the Bucks. They have the 11.5 odds for tonight. I'll say this, though. The Grizzlies have shown themselves without John Morant. I know they have a bunch of injuries right now to actually play some pretty good defense. Now, we've seen the Bucks lose to the Hawks, the Heat. This may or may not be a close game because the Bucks, they struggle defensively. We see that. They have a very great offensive set with, Giannis. They've got Dame out. But we're going to have to see. This may not be a high-scoring game in terms of a blowout for the Bucks. So we'll have to see. I think this will be a close one.
So you're saying they'll keep it close then? It won't be a blowout.
It won't be a pump session. I think the Grizzlies will keep it very close. But, I mean, the Heat were able to, steal the win. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll take a look around the league later tonight, too. Memphis is at home. Any team at home, a home dog is always one of my favorite, lines to look at. So good insights there, Moses. Let's hear next from Grant. And Grant, it's our first time seeing you on the show. Welcome. Tell us, where you're joining from and who your favorite teams are across all the sports you follow, and then give us your take for tonight.
Yeah, hey, what's going on, everybody? I watched a few of the streams from the last couple days, so I'm familiar with some faces here. I'm actually from the Los Angeles County area in California. I am unfortunately a Clippers fan, which means there's been a lot of disappointment in my life. I've been a Clippers fan for 14 years, so I've seen some stuff. I'm also a Rams fan, so I've seen some really good things too. They're probably one of the only teams that in the playoffs performs out of the teams that I root for. So, I'm a Rams fan. I'm also a Dodger fan, so I've seen a lot of regular season success, but obviously no postseason success, which is unfortunate. But we have Shohei Ohtani now, and we have a loaded roster, which I expect to lose to the Rockies in the first round, anyways. So it doesn't even matter. But yeah, so as far as this game, I just wanted to go to this game. The Memphis Grizzlies are something because I thought that they would be one of the top seeds in the West when John Morant came back, but obviously John Morant got hurt as soon as he came back. They've had a lot of injuries. And there's two players that I want to mention that I've been looking out for since John Morant went down with his season-ending shoulder injury. Vince Williams, who's one of their young guys, he just came up from the G League. They signed him to a 4-year deal. He's been playing really good basketball, and I think that he's going to be one of their cornerstones moving forward. Number two, I think they have a few guys here and there that if you go into next year, right? And I know that tonight it's going to look really bad because they're playing the Bucks. The Bucks are a top seed in the East. But if you're going into next year, I think they have a few pieces that you can look at and say, okay, well, maybe if you get John Morant back, if Desmond Bane's healthy, if Jaren Jackson's healthy, they have a pretty good squad next year. But tonight, I do think that the Bucks are going to get the win. Obviously, you can see they're up by 6 right now. The Bucks are a very interesting team to me because I don't really think they needed to get rid of Adrian Griffin. I know they fired him a couple weeks ago. I just don't think that Doc Rivers is an upgrade from that. Like I said, I've been a Clipper fan, so obviously I've seen Doc Rivers coach a lot. But in terms of the Bucks, they do have a defensive problem. A lot of you guys have said that their defense is really middle of the pack, and it honestly should be worse than that. And I remember, I think it was Will. Will, nice to meet you. Will said that he doesn't know who Thanasis Antetokounmpo is. That's Giannis's brother. There's a reason for that because Thanasis is one of the most clowned players in all of basketball. He's one of the guys that you see on a lot of the comedy pages on social media, and he's one of the guys that look, I think he's solely in the league because his brother is the best player on the team. So it's going to be a fun matchup. Look, I always like watching the Grizzlies play because they're a grit and grind team. That's just what their moniker is. But I expect the Bucks to get a pretty good victory tonight. Especially going to the All-Star break. You always want to go into the All-Star break with a good win. So it's nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you. And got a follow-up question for you since it seems like you know the lineup's pretty good. And I think we've heard everyone that wants to give us a take. If you're here and you want to give us a take, use the Zoom raise of hand before we go back around for round 2. But Grant, who would you, looking at the lineup that Memphis has tonight, I honestly don't even know like who to follow. Who do you think is going to be their top 1 or 2 scorers tonight?
I'd absolutely say probably Vince Williams. Obviously, look, he's not a guy that's going to give you 20 a night. Santi Aldama is also a guy that can give you 20 a night. Trust me, I've seen him do it against the Clippers plenty of times this year. They have like I think it was who said it? Moses said that they have Zaire Williams in there. He's the only guy from the 2021 team. I think Moses was the one that said that. Another guy that I actually like is Gigi Jackson. He's a guy from South Carolina. I think he was a first or second round pick for them last year. He's a rookie. They actually just gave him a deal too. So if I'm looking at 2 guys that'll probably give them some good offense, I think it's Santi Aldama, actually 3, I guess you could say. Santi Aldama, Vince Williams, and Gigi Jackson, because they just signed Gigi Jackson to a good deal. They signed Vince Williams to a good deal. Those are 2 guys that I think they have in their future plans right now. So I think that the top scorers are going to be Aldama, Gigi Jackson, and Vince Williams. Those are the only guys right now that I can look at and say, okay, they can actually give me 15 to 20 a night. So,
yeah, okay, that's insightful. Gives me some people to watch tonight. Again, if you want to add anything, go ahead and use the Zoom raise of hand, and we'll continue round robin here. And then I've got some topics that I want to get us into. I want to share one thing I heard Perkins share on McAfee show today that I thought was interesting. He said that before and after the NBA playoff game is a time to really steal some games. I think we heard somebody kind of allude to this earlier, but he said that a lot of teams are like easing up. They're already checked out for the weekend, and this is a spot you can pick up 1 or 2 wins. And then some teams don't really come back from it. They're kind of checked out and they're done. Takes them a little while to hit stride after this. So this is the good teams, Perkins said, can really steal 1 or 2 games here, which can make a big difference. You know, as tight as some of these playoff races are, that could be what gets you in or not. All right, we're back on broadcast. So let me pull up the screen here.
I just want something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Moses.
Doc Rivers thing, Grant, I'm gonna piggyback off of the what you were saying with Doc Rivers. So since he's became coach, I mean they've only won, well, the last 10 games, they've only won 4 of 10 games. So that's what also leads me to believe that the Grizzlies, it's gonna be a close game where they may even potentially win. Because you look, they've lost to the Suns, they've lost to the Jazz, they've lost to the Timberwolves, the Heat, lesser teams. Timberwolves are doing pretty good, but at the same time, the Bucks on paper are better than that team. So it's interesting to see how this game is going to play today.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose this one, that's a real bad slide, I think, because the Grizzlies have almost no one playing. It's interesting to me that almost everyone's take was mostly talking about Memphis, and we didn't get into a lot of the things in Milwaukee that I'd be curious to get into. Like Middleton's not playing tonight, it looks like, or unless they subbed him out already. I don't know what's going on with his health, if anybody has a take on that. And the whole Doc Rivers thing, I'd love to get each of your takes on that as well. Like I can't remember seeing a coach fired like this. I think David yesterday reminded me of when the Lakers brought in D'Antoni mid-season. I think it was the Lakers, he said, or Houston, maybe.
Yeah, it was the Lakers because they
It
had
was the
Mike
Lakers,
Brown
yeah.
and he coached about 10 games and brought in D'Antoni.
Boom, there's our resident D'Antoni expert. Love it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, other than that, I can't think of a time that you fired a coach in season and brought someone outside the staff in. Very unusual thing to do, in my opinion. Like a sign of like something really bad in the locker room, in my opinion. What are you looking for in this game, David?
So this will be my first time watching Giannis and Dame together. So I'm really interested to see their chemistry. The I would expect normally for them to dog walk this Memphis team because, like someone had mentioned, this is their D-League team, playing all their starters but Williams. So it'll be interesting. I think Milwaukee's been on a ever since bringing in Doc, they haven't been doing so hot. They've already got to 20 losses before they got to 40 wins, so I don't expect them to be a contender based off of Phil Jackson's rule. But going into the All-Star break, I think this is a game they need. But I do think Memphis is going to play them close just because it's going to be a lot of guys, 1 or 2 shots at showing that they belong on an NBA roster.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I always appreciate your insights. I was just watching Bobby Portis check into the game. I like Portis is like the tough guy on this team. I thought he fits in good. I was surprised to hear him in trade rumors, and I wonder if that's going to, impact him if he feels like they were shopping him. And, it's how do you come back from that? It's like if you're in a marriage and your wife is like, there's rumors of her trading you in for somebody else. Like, how do you take her back? Just because the deal didn't go through. I don't know. Will, what do you got?
I was kind of surprised. I was wondering what happened with Robin Lopez because, like, he was on them, but they traded him. He was averaging a whole point a game, and they traded him. Just crazy. But Doc Rivers, is he living on the hype from like the Celtics? Has that kept him in the league? I think that's kind of a question because I'm trying to remember with the Clippers, he didn't do a whole lot, right? And then he was at the Sixers, so is he still in the league just because of like his hype with the Celtics?
Yes.
I'm gonna get some takes on that.
Yes and no. I think he
yeah.
had one good season with the Clippers team with no superstars. When they took the Warriors to 6 or 7 in 2019. But other than that, yeah, it's just been all hype.
Hype train, man.
Yeah, I think his Clippers teams were good. Chris Paul was in his prime, and Blake Griffin was still good. To me, he really underachieved with that team, and that he battled Golden State before they kind of got their act together. And I'm a Boston guy, so I love Doc in Boston. I've always loved Doc since then. But as I look back on it now, I really try to be objective. I'm like, maybe he just caught, fire in a bottle and got lucky with that Boston team, and maybe he's not all he's cracked up to be. Jordan, what else are you looking for in this game?
Well, to be honest, I'm gonna say like we're talking about the Bucks. I really do think one of the main reasons why the Bucks has low key hasn't lived up to the hype is, and I don't think a lot of people is talking about it. They're missing Drew Holiday, and where is Drew Holiday on now? One of the best teams in the NBA, the Boston Celtics, right now. And it's just I look at like somebody like Drew Holiday. I look at somebody as the leader on the court. Like, yes, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's automatically the best player on the court. But generally in basketball, the leader on the court is usually your point guard, your ball handler. And that was Drew Holiday was. He can get buckets, he can defend the best player, but he also can lead a group of men. Damian Lillard, even though he can score and he can score at a very high rate, like I never looked at him as a person of a leader. And like, of course, this season is probably going to be the test of him because he's on a capable team that could go far in the playoffs. But it's like I just don't see it. I just see just another guy that could just like score and not really just like a leader of sort. And it's just like also with Doc Rivers, on piggyback on Doc Rivers, I really don't think Doc Rivers was like the first choice to, be the head coach after the last head coach. I forgot his name. I just think they just picked him up because he was available. I really don't think they wanted him as the coach and coach the team. I feel like they just picked him. He was available. Everybody knows Doc Rivers because it's so weird how they fired him and picked him up so quickly like that. My personal opinion.
Interesting takes there. And I'd love to hear from someone that wants to defend Damian Lillard. If you want to raise your hand and give us a take as we're watching this. By the way, our goal in doing all of this is to have some takes that are potential viral moments, are takes that are different, unique. Try on different things here in your takes. This is part of us growing as we're doing this. Also, this is, again, as far as kind of coaching and how we want to do this, is you really want to try to make one point in your take at a time. We got the whole game to talk about things, right? So you can kind of keep a notepad or things. But if you come in and talk about Lillard and you made awesome points about Lillard, and then you talk about Doc, it's kind of like, let's give people a chance to respond to the Lillard talk, and then we'll circle back around to the Doc talk, that kind of thing for everyone. All right. So I saw hands go up here from Cameron. We're on Damian Lillard topic here. Go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, I'm going to defend Dame. I think he's an excellent leader on and off the court. Okay, I mean off the court because he gives so much back to his hometown in Oakland, and he does so much to his ex-city of Portland, and he did not disrespect his fans in any way when he was getting traded to Milwaukee. Sometimes you see a lot of bad blood with the players happening when they get traded. Man, I can tell you all Portland fans love Dame with the utmost respect. And the reason he led those teams into the playoffs, and he ran into the Warriors like 4 times. Like, that is like one of the greatest teams ever assembled. And he went toe-to-toe. I'm not saying he like hung in there, but he didn't get blown out in those games either. And he's only had one all-star on his like true all-star, LaMarcus Aldridge. And that was back in like 2013. So Dame Lillard, I think he took a franchise. They were a bottom of the barrel league when he got drafted, hasn't really got the best roster around him. When he did get a good roster, they always blew it up the next year. But Dame, either way, he fought, he scrapped, got his way into the play, and he reminds me a lot of Curry. He's Curry 2.0. When he gets hot, he's also one of the funnest shows in sports to watch.
Good take there. I see we got a Pat Beverly sighting in the game. If some of you could keep your eye on Pat and give us an update on what he's doing, I'd love to get a Pat Beverly update. I'm trying to keep one eye on the game, one on keeping things going here. Let's stay on the topic of Damian Lillard, because I got something I want to circle back with on this. Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, I wanted to push back. I want to go against Cameron. And Cameron, this is no offense to you, but Damian Lillard, his whole thing has always been about his defense, right? We all know that he can score. His defense is atrocious. There's a reason why him and CJ McCollum never won anything. It's because that backcourt couldn't defend Curry and Thompson worth a life. And now we're seeing the same thing. This is why Drew Holiday, I think Jordan mentioned it, Drew Holiday was so important to this team because he could defend. He's a guard that could defend. Damian Lillard is a turnstile defensively. Honestly, he shouldn't even be starting in the All-Star game. I think that either Jalen Brunson or Trae Young, honestly, should be starting over him. I really don't see why. His numbers have gone down from last year to this year in almost every category. So I understand his legacy and how good of a player he has been in his career, but this year is the worst version of Dame that we've seen probably since his rookie year. So defensively, that's a part of their issues and a part of why they got Patrick Beverly. I know that Greg mentioned it, but yeah, I just wanted to push back a little bit because yes, he's still a very good scorer, but I think defensively is it's not the main reason, but it's one of the reasons why the Bucks have struggled so far is because he just cannot defend at his age. He's getting up there in age. And again, like I said, I think there are so many better guards that you could have put in the All-Star game over him to start. So I just wanted to mention that real quick.
Well, let's all keep an eye on Lillard's defense tonight. If anyone wants to point out either a really good or really bad play he made on defense, I think that's something for us to watch at and look for tonight to see if we're saying things and if it's Lillard or if it's the coaching staff, because that's why they're claiming they fired the Griffin because of the defense. They're saying it's him, not Lillard. I got some more things to say on Lillard, but Moses, go ahead. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah. Hey, Cameron, I'm sorry, man. I can't let you get away with the Curry comparison, man. Can't let you do that, man. Listen, man. When you look at Dame Lillard's playoff record compared to Curry, and yeah, Curry has some better, cast. You see 99 and 48 against 22 and 39. You've seen a lot of choke jobs out of Dame Lillard. And when it comes to defense, Curry's defense has improved over time. Now, granted, he still does have issues, but compared to Dame Lillard, I like Curry's defense compared to his, man. I can't let you get away with that one, man.
All right. There's a lot here. I should be taking notes. So many good things here.
I got another one.
So let me, and so here's where I look at in evaluating players is winning and results. And Lillard has led a team to the Western Conference Finals and a team that was not that good. So to me, that Lillard gets all the credit for getting there. And Lillard's range is the same as Curry. Whether we want to call him a poor man's Curry or he's clearly not Curry. But if we're looking, if you ask me, who's the next closest shooter in the league close to Curry, Lillard's first guy I would name. And I think that's what Cameron was saying there. And defensive playing, Holiday is an amazing defender. But to me, Lillard is clearly a step up if you're in who you're trading for. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made that trade. I think most people around the league would agree to that. Now, has the defense panned out? No, but let's hope that's coaching. That should be Doc's specialty. Doc in his playing days was an amazing defensive coach. I'm hoping that Doc can right the ship and get this team motivated and playing defense. And here's the thing, though, I'd love to get your take on. What I feel the Bucks greatly underestimated, they never wanted Holiday to go to Boston. That if they thought that was going to happen, they would not have done the Lillard deal because that has completely backfired on them. That has, but no one was expecting that at the time. But I think that's a huge miscalculation by Milwaukee because what did they think? Holiday wasn't going to stay in Portland. Of course, they were going to try to trade him again. So I feel like if you look at this in an isolated bottle of Lillard for Holiday, you got to make the Lillard move. They couldn't get to the finals, last year, or win with Holiday. They needed to do something to get better, and Lillard was an upgrade. But if you look at it in a macro level where Drew Holiday winds up going to Boston, and now you got to face him, and now Boston got Porzingis and replacing Smart with a better player than Smart, like it all fell perfectly into place for my Celtics. Any follow-up on that? And go ahead, Will.
I think Giannis like forced him to get Dame, man. I really think he was involved in that. But at some point, I want to talk about if Giannis could be an all-time great at the Bucks. The small market, I was wondering that. I was like thinking, could Giannis really be the all-time great that he has the potential to be if he's at like a kind of a smaller team like the Bucks? Because I know you got Kareem, but Kareem got a lot of his stuff at the Lakers, right? So that's kind of a
I mean, they got Oscar Robinson and Kareem. As far as Bucks players, I think it's a good topic for us to get into. And I give Giannis a lot of credit for not leaving, right? He stayed at the small market team. They drafted him. They believed in him. They built him, and he wants to build a team as opposed to like pussies like Durant that leave and go play on a championship team. Giannis wants to win a championship, and he already has one with his team in his city. I give him credit for that. And let's not forget, Chris Middleton is out hurt. I mean, Middleton on their championship run, I honestly thought they could have gave the MVP to Middleton. He was a top 10 player in the league when they won their championship. And you need a third guy. No team can win without their big three.
Yeah, and you'll see in sports, one interesting thing about sports is really, really bad teams beat really, really good teams in the regular season. You'll see that happening all the time. Like, it's really weird how that works in the regular season because, like, the good teams, like, don't care. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's hear what Doc Rivers has to say here.
Guy.
Can you guys hear that or no?
I can't hear it on my end. I don't know if maybe
No, I can't.
No, all right. Well, I got to figure out a way to pull on some audio from time to time here. They give these coaches these little one question sound bites in between the quarters. All right, let's go to Grant.
Yeah, just to touch on the Holiday deal that you mentioned. I think, or actually, it was the Damian Lillard and Holiday deal. I think Will said it is that they needed to make that move. Like, I think, I gave Damian Lillard a lot of slack just now, but if I'm the Bucks, like, obviously I'm going to go after Damian Lillard because the Miami Heat were in the running for it too. Like, they were just about to get Damian Lillard from the Blazers, and obviously the Blazers GM was he was not really happy about that.
Yeah,
but I think
they
the Bucks
block the Heat.
Right, exactly. So imagine Dame goes to the Heat, and now you don't have anything. You just have the same team. You're running it back if you're Milwaukee. So I think Will's right. Like, you had to do it, and I think Giannis pushed for it. Absolutely, he did because he saw, hey, if the Heat can beat us in 5 with the team that we have now, I know we're the 1 seed. I know all this stuff, and if they can beat us in 5 in the first round, we're going to need something better than that. So I don't care what it takes. Get me something better, and we'll see how it pans out because I don't believe that the Bucks are going to even get to the finals just because of Doc Rivers and because of Damian Lillard's defense. I know he's a great offensive player. I get it. But defense matters in the playoffs. So we'll see. But I think Will was right. They needed to make that move just to say that you made a move because Giannis was ready to leave. I know he signed an extension before this year, but he was threatening to leave before that.
In places like Milwaukee, they can't keep those guys. They can't get stars like that. It's hard for them.
It's tough.
They draft them.
Tough.
Yeah.
Win a championship, though, it cures everything, and that's how you're able to get guys like Damian Lillard. Don't forget, they just won a championship 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, good points, guys. Let's go to Jordan.
Yeah, the one thing I had to like really piggyback on, I think also too, like, they had to get Damian Lillard. Like, one thing about Damian Lillard can score. And I definitely feel like they needed another scorer because Chris Middleton has, sadly become a little bit fragile over these past 2 seasons. He's become fragile. Right now, he's out right now. And it's just like, Giannis, he sees it. I can't really do this by myself, and sees it throwing the last play. It's like, I can't really do this by myself. I need another scorer. I need somebody to be with me, a running mate to be with me. So of course, getting somebody like Damian Lillard, who can score, who can stretch the floor, especially for somebody like Giannis that likes to get most of his shots in the post, in the middle, like that is a great situation for it. It's just my thing is it's just the defensively. You missed the defense of Drew Holiday, and like who on the team right now can be like the person that can defend like the best guard on the team.
Yeah, who's going to be? Maybe that's Pat Beverly, right? Is he going to be their stopper that they bring in? What
yeah, but isn't he really a good defensive player, or he's just he just a-hole, like he just rattles you in your brain?
He's famous for getting under your skin, right? I don't know if he can start. Good takes though, and I'm curious to see, what the Bucks lineup's going to be, right? I guess Lopez, Middleton, Giannis, Dame, and I don't know who they start over there. Maybe Connington is their guy when they're all healthy. David, what do you got?
Too.
Yeah, for sure. Just to kind of touch on the Patrick Beverly, I think he's always been a great defender. He's definitely lost a step or two, but I do think he does a great job. I think I think Dylan Brooks has overtaken him as the three and D guy. Obviously, Drew Holiday is much better with the ball in his hands than Pat Beverly. But what I actually wanted to touch on was Will said that Giannis would go down as one of the greatest ever. I'll get ready for it. I don't do this, but I truly believe in what I'm about to say. I think Giannis is one of the most overrated players in the league. Now, is he a freak of nature? Absolutely. Absolutely. He's a freak of nature. Do I think he deserves to be a two-time MVP? Absolutely not. I think the second MVP he won, hands down, no questions asked. His first one, they robbed James Harden. James Harden had higher win shares, higher three-point percentage, assists, steals. The reason I still don't know why James Harden didn't. James Harden carried the corpse of Chris Paul, Clint Capella, PJ Tucker to the Western Conference semis that year. And the Bucks, if I remember correctly, lost in the semis that year. They both lost in the semis, one in the West, one in the East. But that was also the year, don't forget, where Harden had I think it was 30 games in a row where he had 30 or more points. When's Giannis ever done anything like that? Don't get me wrong. I think Giannis is a freak of nature. I mean, he's him and Wembanyama and LeBron. I'm not sure we'll ever see guys like that again. Who knows with what they're putting in the food these days. But I truly believe that 2018-2019 season, it was more of why Harden shouldn't win MVP. Because I'm not sure if y'all remember that season, but I would turn on ESPN during the MVP debate, and it was like, Harden is doing this, and this. Oh, and by the way, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did this, and this. Elton Hayes did this, and this. But because they did it and they didn't win MVP, we're going to give it to Giannis, which didn't make sense. It was more of why Harden shouldn't win it versus why Giannis deserved it. So I just wanted to say that to Will's point about Giannis being one of the
Love
greatest
it, David. I love it.
David, you got us all chomping at the bit. We're going to go with the raise of hands here to respond to this. We're all chomping at the bit. And you know what I love? I love that it's the Houston guy defending Harden. To me, that's like your wife leaves you for a younger man and you still cheer for her. Like, what are you doing? He screwed your city and your team.
I will say
still
this.
Love him.
I will say this. Harden didn't do something with 20 masseuses. He's been very upfront when he wanted to leave Houston. He was very upfront about it. He said, I want out. We can't win here.
What about the
which is true.
contract he had signed? You can't just,
No, they offered to make him the richest player in the league, and he said no. He said, I don't want to be here anymore. And which was true. We gave up everything. We traded to get CP3. We traded to get Russell Westbrook. We gave away our center to play small ball where we had Harden doing the jump ball in the playoffs. Like,
you gave him everything he asked for, and he left.
No, true, but with my point being, there was nothing left for him to do here. So he was upfront. He said, I want out. He wasn't like Damian Lillard, who said, I will always be here. And then he wants to do IG videos with the song Going to Miami in the background, talking about, I never asked for a trade. I don't want to go to Miami. You need to talk to my agent. No, he was upfront about it. I can respect that.
All right, we're going to go to the audience to respond here. We're talking Harden. I'm just going to leave you with ball don't lie, and Harden ain't never winning a championship. You don't deserve one. Let's go to Vincent.
Yeah, I give it to him. He's a real Rockets fan. He's from Houston. I live in Houston too, so I pay a little bit of attention to it. But harder than me, well, first let me backtrack and go back to him saying the Greek Freak is overrated. I think he's more of an athletic freak than he is skillful, but when you can dominate a game like he does, it's hard to argue with that. Kind of, in my opinion, kind of like a younger LeBron. People say LeBron couldn't do this, LeBron couldn't do that. He's developed skills. Giannis, I think he's in a period where he's going to develop skills, but he's won a championship in Milwaukee. And then you go back to Harden in that same year, he did this, and that. But in my opinion, it's what Harden always does, puts up a lot of points, puts up a good show, and does nothing at the end of the season. So, I mean, I feel like the NBA got a little stale on Harden, want to see something new. Giannis is newer. He's won a championship.
MVP is a regular season award, though. It doesn't include the playoffs.
That is true, and I couldn't tell you when they voted on it. But from a fan standpoint, I think I was more excited about Giannis that season than I was Harden, just because, like I said, he puts up points every year. They make it to the West Finals or the West Side semifinals, and it's the same thing. I didn't expect them to go any further.
Yeah, good take, Sir Vincent. We're going to go next to Moses, but I want to chime in. I'm just chomping at the bit too much on this. So to me, one of my favorite things about Giannis, and I'm a Boston guy, right? So I hate him. I hate playing against him. But one of my favorite things is he was not the golden child. He was not LeBron. He was not highly drafted. He was not highly touted. He didn't even play his first year in the league hardly. And he developed. And to get to see somebody work hard and develop, if you are hating on Giannis, you're hating on hard work. And counter that, if you're contrasting Harden and Giannis, Harden is a guy who comes in overweight, comes in out of shape, guns up threes. So if you're looking at the values of what you like in players, you're standing against hard work. You're standing, for the spoiled kid that has it all and doesn't put in the hard work. That's how I look at the players I choose are a representation of what I like in life. All right, let's go next to Moses.
All right. Yeah, so David, I'm going to say this, man. Yeah, Giannis has some areas he needs to work on. He definitely has to work on his jumper, but he has improved on those things. His three-point percentage has gone up, even though it is slumped down from last year since his first MVP. He has had improvements in that area. Now, you're looking at a guy who looks like a gazelle when he comes to the paint. This man's taking leaps across from the baseline all the way down. That man right there is a freak of nature. And when he plays the way he does, it's hard to argue against his dominance because just like with Shaq couldn't, shoot three. He's a center. Back then, the centers weren't really shooters, but Shaq could dominate inside and on defense. Giannis is number 6 this year as a defensive leader. So, I'm gonna have to push back on you a little bit on the overhyped aspect of Giannis.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you on that. Let's see. I lost track of where we are in the batting order here. I was trying to pull up a graphic to go with this. Let's go next to Will.
I think it can come, man. I think Giannis is on the verge right now of a lot of stuff, and I think if he doesn't get something this year, Like the overrated thing could be real, you know? And as far as like, he is someone who's interesting because just his athleticism for being like 6'11", it kind of, he's a guy like Miles Garrett that just kind of like frustrates me because the dude has so much talent, but it's like, are you really like utilizing it? But you made a good point, Greg. I didn't really think about how he really struggled in the league for a while. Like even with how tall he was and how athletic he was small, you know, and he had to kind of figure it out. But I think the overrated Giannis stuff is going to come quickly if he doesn't get something this year or the next few years.
Yeah, fair enough. An early exit this year. I mean, they got knocked off in the first round last year. An early exit could really hurt his legacy. And by the way, the best takes are hometown takes. I want, if we have time tonight, I want to hear everyone's hometown take and be over the top for your hometown team. That's what makes this fun, right? Nobody's, attacking or defending anybody here. I love that we have this open vibe of things. And Will, I just wanted to point out, I love how you always find a way to fit in your Cleveland Browns into every conversation about basketball somehow,
I
man.
keep it small, man. It's hidden. It's just there. I find a way.
That's a true fan. All right, let's go to Grant and then Cameron.
Yeah, David, I'm so glad you brought up James Harden because I'm going to put my hometown thing in there. I'm a Clipper fan. He's on the Clippers and he's been excellent. And Greg, I know you mentioned that like you don't think that James Harden's ever going to win a ring. Well, his best chances this year, I think. He's completely transformed the way he plays this year, in a way that I haven't seen on the Rockets or I haven't seen really on the net. On the Nets, I think we kind of saw it. He's playing excellent basketball right now. And on the Giannis thing, I just want to mention that about Harden because I love Harden because he's balling for the Clippers right now, and I love the Clippers. So, the thing about Giannis, and David, I'm glad you brought this up too because I've kind of felt the same way about Giannis's career, right? In 2021, if Kevin Durant's shoe was a half size smaller, they wouldn't even have won a title, and Kevin Durant would be holding up the trophy with the Nets. They were dominating the net, excuse me, the Nets were dominating the Bucks in that whole series until Kyrie Irving got hurt, until James Harden got hurt. So Giannis, yes, he did have a great finals and they were down 0-2 in that series as well. He had an excellent finals. I'm not taking that away from him. Kawhi beat him in 2019. He didn't win in 2020. Jimmy Butler beat him last year. There have been a lot of Giannis chokes in the playoffs. So I do think that he's an all-time great. But the pedestal that we're putting him on, in my honest opinion, I think Anthony Davis is better than him right now. David, I'm so glad you brought it up because I've had this thought to myself. I haven't put it out there. I have a lot of pages, but I've never put it out there. So I'm glad that you brought it up because I love Giannis, but his shot is still bad. It has improved, yes. He still can't shoot. They guard him like Russell Westbrook. Another Clipper thing I'm going to put in there. They guard him like Russell Westbrook. If you're a superstar making $60 million a year, you shouldn't be guarded like Russell Westbrook on the perimeter. I know that he's got athletic size and he's a freak. I get that. But Giannis, if I'm paying him that much money, he's already won a ring. He should be one of the better shooters in the league. And I know that's not his game. I get that. But teams are defending him. The Raptors in 2019 just put a wall up and said, go ahead, try to drive. We're not going to let you because they know that he can't shoot. His free throw shooting hasn't improved at all. Maybe a little bit. It's still bad. So, yes, Giannis is a superstar, but for the amount that he's paid, for the label that we give him, I can name you 5 to 10 players that I'd probably rather take over Giannis in clutch time right now. So, I just want to, David, I'm so glad you brought that up. And I love that you brought up the Harden thing because
he's a 7-foot center.
I get it.
He's a 7-foot center, and you're comparing him. You want him to shoot threes and free throws. He's more in the class of Shaq than he is, Dirk Nowitzki. I don't know if I think that's a fair comparison. He's not winning us over by barely beating Memphis tonight, though. And by the way, let's when we're about to break for halftime here, we want to kind of check in with takes on this game. Everybody try to find something. I'm hoping somebody's been watching our defensive stopper there. Let's go to Cameron and then Jordan and then Vincent.
Yeah, I was just gonna. I mean, I'm not gonna bash on Giannis at all. I think he's already I think he is the greatest player in Bucks history. I mean, he is number one. He's already got number one in total points. I think he took that record from Kareem about a season ago, maybe 2 seasons ago. Oscar Robertson was a very good player as well. But Giannis, man, let's not forget in that finals against the Suns, they were down 2-0. They were down 2-0. Media were already writing him off. And I think that's where leaders shine. And there's tons of clips of him when they're losing the game. He's yelling at his teammates. He's trying to get everyone involved. And in that series, he actually dropped a 50-piece in Game 7 to deliver a championship to Milwaukee, which hasn't been done in so long. And then my other point, James Harden, that year he won MVP. Hands down, he was the greatest offensive player that season. I think he was almost 36 or 38 per game. I mean, he was a bucket on offense, but let's not forget Giannis. I think he got that award because he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year that year. Rudy Gobert was the Defensive Player of the Year. And then Giannis ended up getting his defensive crown the season after. So he brings a lot of defense to the game. He can take down your number one low threat. He's a beast in transition, just like LeBron. Those two guys are unstoppable in transition. You got to try and slow him down. And I mean, why even, if you know what your strength is, which is attacking the paint, getting in the paint, stick with it. Try to get the other team to stop you. But yeah, that's my point. He already did something legendary for the team already. Is to see if he can do it again.
Yeah, and you make a good point, Cameron, that Harden did get his MVP, right? He has one league MVP. And I feel like that's an award they like to try to get new faces in there. I think it was Giannis's first right after that. Jordan, what do you got on the Giannis Harden discussion?
We got to stop this Giannis slander right here. Let's be honest. The reason why Giannis Antetokounmpo won, I think, the 2018-2019 MVP is because if you look at it the year before when James Harden won, what was the Houston Rockets? The Houston Rockets was the top seed. Was the top seed in that league. They won over 65 games, and he was like an offensive force. Like, of course, you had to give him the MVP. In that year, Milwaukee was 7th seed. The next year, Milwaukee ended up becoming a number 1 seed, winning 60 games from 44 games, and he was the leader of that team. Like, even though Harden was still doing what Harden do, being an offensive beast, but they also won less games, and they wasn't a top seed. So we cannot say that Giannis is overhyped. Giannis didn't deserve it. Like, is Giannis the best player in the league? Absolutely not. I'm going to give that to Jokic right now. But I do feel like he is where he at as being the top NBA players of where he at. He's right there. He's the perfect spot. I want to go higher, and I would not go lower at all. But I'm gonna back up Giannis on this one. I got Giannis's back right here. I got Giannis's back.
Oh, that's really impressive memory of or research of that season when Giannis won his MVP. I can remember that year because Boston played Giannis in the playoffs. I went to see him play that year, and Giannis lost in the playoffs that year to the Celtics. And that was the season when Haywood and Kyrie Irving were both hurt, and Tatum was a rookie, and we knocked out Giannis. And they really turned it around the next year, all the way. Vincent, what do you got on the Giannis Harden take? Did you get in on this?
Yeah, I did. Left my hand up. But I think to top it off, I think everybody kind of does ask too much of Giannis. Like, they want him to shoot threes and be a great ball handler. That's why you brought in Damian. That's why you got that. You got Pat, hopefully, to play a little bit of defense in his later years in the league. Give the man some much due help, because in that year James Harden had a lot of help. So I think it's only right for him.
Yeah, he does carry the team on his shoulders, for a long time now. That's a lot of wear and tear, and He seems like he's always says the right thing. His public persona is like this good guy who just is all about the game. Like it's everything you would want in a superstar, as I see it. Hey, who's this GG Jackson? Does anybody know anything about this guy that's leading the Grizzlies in scoring today? 18 points in the first half. Williams, who we had kind of predicted was is their second leading scorer. What do you got, Grant, on GG?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it. I kind of mentioned him, but not really that much. He got a new contract recently. He's a draft pick out of South Carolina. There's a lot of questions about him coming into the league, whether he can get his head right because he had a few issues coming out of South Carolina. But now he's kind of flourished. They gave him an opportunity. Actually, I know I do this a lot against the Clippers. They gave him an opportunity to play, and ever since then, he's actually taken off a little bit. And I think along with Vince Williams, GG Jackson can be a mainstay next year, and I think that's what they're kind of projecting for right now. They're not really looking for anything this year because they're not going to be anywhere near the play, and they're 19 and 36. But he is a guy that can score at all three levels. He's got great size. He can defend. And for a Grizzlies team that needs all they can get, honestly, right now with all of the guys hurt, he can do it. Like he's a really solid player and he's developed into that. Like when he came in, he wasn't getting any minutes. Like he wasn't even playing at all. He was actually in the G League for the Memphis Hustle. And now that he's getting playing time, he's flourishing. As you can see, he's got 18 points in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, Memphis, I've been impressed with their drafting. This Jackson guy is a second round pick. I'm a pretty big college basketball fan. He's not somebody that was on my radar. And they're finding these guys and developing these guys, and that's a sign of a good franchise. Just seems like they are injury plagued here. Let's see, we got 30 seconds to go until halftime here. Anybody, Beverly's back in there. Has anybody seen Beverly do anything in this game? Looks like he's 0 for 3 on three-point shot. I don't think he should be jacking it up like that myself, but
When I see Lopez shoot a three, I get nervous, but he makes them. It's weird, man. I'm like, how is he making these?
Lopez,
He's a shooter, man.
Lopez was a great post player for years, and he was the big addition the year that Milwaukee went from 7th place to 1st place. They brought in Lopez, and they said that spacing really has been a big part of Giannis's success, being able to put a center like Lopez out there at the 3-point line, just spreads the interior for Giannis in a big way. Lopez with 12 points tonight.
Yeah, Lillard's been playing some pretty good defense this game too. Looks like the Grizzlies are getting the majority of their points down in the paint or through GG Jackson.
Curious to know what are y'all's thoughts on Jay Crowder? He's been all over the league as a 3-and-D guy, but he's been having some locker room issues with some of the, I think most recently Phoenix. Grant, what's your take?
Listen, on Phoenix, he was great in their finals run when they played the Bucks. He was actually one of their core pieces. He started for that team. And since then he's kind of taken a downfall. I think he had, like you said, locker room issues and the team didn't even want him to come around. They kind of sent him home. And ever since last year on the Bucks, he was hurt for a lot of the time. And he actually got there late because I think somebody gave up they gave up 5 second-round picks to get Jay Crowder, which is actually crazy. And this year, he's playing in their core, like he's been a part of their starting lineup, sometimes over Connaughton. So I think they like him a lot. He's always been a 3-and-D guy, even going back to his Celtics days, going back to his Mavericks days. He's always been a 3-and-D guy, but he doesn't really move the needle for me on the Bucks. He's kind of just another wing that they can throw out there. They're kind of thin at that position anyways. So especially with Middleton hurt, because Middleton's been hurt ever since that finals run. They kind of just got him because they needed more wing depth. But if you look at his stat line, like every game, you're not going to see a lot, but he's just like Patrick Beverly, where he's one of those guys where it may not show up on the box score, but he can give you toughness. He can give you some grit. He can get into you defensively. He may not hit 5 threes a game, but he'll give you a clutch shot here and there. So I think it was just a wing depth move, David. I think that's the only reason why they got, and for 5 second-round picks was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I like Crowder a lot. He originated in Boston. I liked him on Boston. He was a big part of our run in the year or two we had with him. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. He's been to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Heat and was on Phoenix's team. To me, he's a winner. I don't know what's soured with him lately, but I think he's a great role player. PJ Tucker was a guy that Milwaukee. I hate playing against PJ Tucker, man. And I see Crowder can kind of fill that role. Make a few threes and rebound and play D. I think you'll see him as their starter, their fifth starter when they get into the playoffs. What do you think, Will, on Crowder?
I was gonna change it. I was trying to figure out. We can keep talking about him, but I was trying to figure out who these Bucks are drafting. To be honest.
Yeah, I think they've been
Well,
trading a lot of their picks, but we can look at draft history. Yeah, we're at
they have.
halftime now, tie game. Does anybody have any thoughts on the Bucks draft? Go ahead.
Um, Yeah, so they've been drafting obviously late in the first round, and when they do draft, it's usually in the second round. They got Marjon Beauchamp too recently, who's been okay. They got Jordan Nwora too, I believe. So they have guys that are okay, but they're a lot of the players that they draft aren't really a part of their current plans. And Doc Rivers is notorious for not playing rookies anyways. So even if
Okay.
they do draft some guys, they probably won't get any playing time under Doc Rivers. Adrian Griffin actually played some of their young guys, and they were actually doing really well. So I'm kind of surprised by that. But yeah, usually the Bucks draft late in the first round, second round. So they're more G League guys. They're not really core players. So yeah, it's usually you won't see any guys that crack the rotation, especially under Doc Rivers for the Bucks, especially their draft picks.
Yeah, like everybody's over 30 on their team.
Yeah, yeah,
At least a lot of people are, so it's just interesting. I was
yeah.
like, huh. And they made a lot of trades. So it's just interesting to see if it's all going to work out.
Yeah, their GM is the same guy. He's been there for a while now, I think, right? Since they drafted Giannis. Because I felt like they were drafting good. I was just looking it up here. I remember they had they drafted Malcolm Brogdon, who was rookie of the year. He kind of came out of nowhere, right? And they drafted Giannis. They missed on Jabari Parker, but everybody thought he was going to be a stud. That was 3 years in a row, the guys they drafted back then. But since they've been winning, obviously you don't have as good a draft pick. Cool. We're
And
at halftime
finally,
here. I had something special I wanted to get to. We didn't have time to get to it in the earlier segment for halftime that I thought would be really interesting to get your take. This was from earlier today in the Pat McAfee show. Hopefully, I didn't just close it by accident here. I picked a bunch of these. Oh, you know what? I just clicked on the wrong thing and did close it. But we don't even really need the clip, or I can try to find it. But the clip basically was Perkins saying that McAfee asked him, "What do you think about the LeBron Steph Curry trade?" He's like, "That was never going anywhere." And what Perkins declared is that it's a known fact amongst league insiders that the Lakers are getting a third superstar next year. He wouldn't say who it was. So I wanted to put that out to the audience here to speculate on who do you think is going to LA to team up with AD and LeBron, and Bronny's probably going to be there next year, not at the end of the bench. But who are they getting, and how are they getting all this money to get somebody? Because LeBron's supposed to get like 50 million next year. What are you hearing or thinking, Grant?
So it's going to be either Trae Young or Donovan Mitchell, and I think the Donovan Mitchell one is out the door because the Cavaliers are just really good. So the Trae Young one makes sense, and I kind of see why the Lakers didn't trade at the deadline, because now the Lakers have 3 first-round picks to trade in the summer. They have 4 pick swaps to trade in the summer, and Trae Young is a seamless fit with Anthony Davis. He's a guy that can throw lobs on the pick and roll. He can score from 3 from the logo. So I know Kendrick Perkins is being very secretive, but it's Trae Young. He's talking about Trae Young because there's been rumors about Trae Young and Donovan Mitchell going to the Lakers for a while. And now in the summer, the Lakers will have assets to get Trae Young. So that's just my opinion on it.
Wow. I think Atlanta's nuts if they give up Trey Young. He's the face of the franchise over there.
Mhm.
Jordan, what do you think? Who could the Lakers be bringing in?
To be honest, I think like another star. I think maybe looking to go to the Lakers, and he's also a free agent, so they don't have to give up like draft picks or anything like that. And also, his father also played for the Lakers, and I'm thinking about Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson now with Golden State has ran its course. Like he still can get buckets and everything like that. And I think it will also be a perfect fit for the Lakers, especially somebody like Anthony Davis. Because one thing as like for any big man, they want somebody who can handle the ball and pass the ball to them, and also somebody can stretch the floor and score. And I feel like Klay Thompson can do both. Now, has his defense wavered a little bit, but he can still be a decent defender when he can be. And I feel like now he's starting to get more healthy and get more into the groove thing. Like he's still averaging like 17 points a game, and that's one thing the Lakers need is like outside scoring. Like they need it. Like the people that they have right now, they're very inconsistent right now with their outside scoring.
Yeah, he definitely. LeBron's won his championships when you surround him with shooters, and Clay is one of the greatest shooters of all time. And he was a great defender. I'm not sure, if he's getting long in the tooth, how he might fit in there. But that's a really interesting take. What do you think, Will? Who could be this mystery player the Lakers are bringing in?
So I know Kyrie's been in the running, right? Like people have been talking about him for a while. I think it's gonna be they let go of some guys, man. I think it might be someone like Randall. I think Julius Randall could be a really good fit, but I think that could be an interesting fit. Bring him back. That could be really cool. But they need a point guard who isn't like a ball hog. Like Mario Chalmers is like the perfect point guard for LeBron, right? Those two are solid together. And I don't know, like if LeBron and Kyrie really played well together. It's kind of a question that's hard to answer, but I think Julius Randle and then maybe like who is the guy on the Hawks like outside of Trey? Murray, I
Yeah,
think.
Murray. Mhm.
Murray could be an interesting guy. Like bring that combo in.
Yeah, Murray was available this year, supposedly at the trade deadline. They could have brought him in this year. I don't know. All this hype and talk, if it turns out to be Deontay Murray, I think that would be not worth the hype. The other guys you mentioned, Randall, like that's he's another LeBron, right? Like in terms of game style. So and Kyrie, I think all three of those are good possibilities. I don't think Kyrie. I'm not a Kyrie fan. I feel like he's not a winner. He's all about himself, but he has won with LeBron before. What do you think, Cameron? Who could the Lakers be bringing in this summer?
So honestly, man, I feel like I see the Lakers every season. They always say they're going to bring in the top free agent. They never do. So I think this is just another one of those scenarios where the Lakers got their name in the headlines like they always do. But I don't think they're going to bring in anyone. Honestly, they just paid Austin Reeves. I think they hope I think they hope he develops into their number 3 guy. He showed flashes of it last year in the playoffs, but I think they hope that Reeves develops into an all-star type player.
Reeves, that's interesting. What would be his ceiling, I guess, like a Franz Wagner type guy who gets up to like 20 points a game, maybe. I
He
don't
has
know.
that ability. He does have that ability. He's shown to score 20 to 30 when LeBron and AD are out. So he can score. And I think Austin Reeves is an excellent player, but I think that Austin Reeves is more, I know that he can score and I know that he's a decent defender, but I think his role is more of like a Bruce Brown, like more of like a or a Derek White. He's not like a Jalen Brown type second guy or a Kristaps Porzingis type third guy. I don't think he can be that, but I think that he can be like a critical role player because every championship team needs a critical role player. Like if you go to last year, Bruce Brown was the critical role player. If you go to the Bucks, like I can name out a list of guys. If you go to the Raptors, it was like Norm Powell, it was Pascal Siakam at the time. Like every team needs that kind of guy, and Austin Reeves to me is that guy. If the Lakers are going to be serious, that's why I was always confused why they included Reeves in some trade rumors or trade talks this past deadlines, because like I think he's so crucial to that team. And obviously he's not a star yet, but he's such a critical guy for that team. And like you're seeing right now, the Lakers are 6-1 in their last 7. He's playing great. So yeah, I agree, Cameron. Like Reeves is a good player for the Lakers. I could see them like maybe using him as a development piece as opposed to a trade piece.
Yeah, and they did just invest in him, so could all be a smokescreen. It's they got to give their fan base some hope, maybe that next year, look forward to next year, and then they'll see what they can pull off in the summer. Let's play what if here. If LeBron went to Golden State for, say, Chris Paul and some draft picks, what do you think that team would do this year? You got a take on that, Moses? Or we'll go to yeah, let's go.
That'd be a pretty big cheat code, honestly, man. You got the ultimate floor spacing nightmare for any team that goes against those guys. You got LeBron. I mean, he's going to be attacking on the inside. Oh, we're going to go double him. Dish right out to the wing. Curry may be open. You can't double team 2 people at once, obviously. So I would have to call the FBI to investigate that. That'd be the most illegal move in sports history, man, if that happens.
You would make them the instant favorites. I mean, it would be must-see TV, right? LeBron and Steph, teaming up at this stage in their careers. What do you think about that, Vincent? LeBron and Steph?
Not even LeBron and Steph gets me excited. It's LeBron and Draymond. That's one guy I'd like to see with LeBron. I feel like they get at each other a little bit, so I feel like they'd be fire on the court. That would be the part I really like to see. I mean, Curry, what he's going to do. He's going to get his dribbles. He's going to get his shots up. Going to get his assists. LeBron's going to do. But LeBron and Draymond Green, that's the most exciting part to me.
Like KD and Draymond Green. You got a good point there, bro.
Yeah. Draymond, I mean, he's a really underrated piece to their success. I don't like all his antics, but I love his game. Grant, what do you think? Would they be the instant favorites?
I wouldn't say the instant favorites because they'd probably have to give up a lot of depth to get him. Like I think they'd have to give up like Moody and Kuminga's playing really well right now. So yeah, obviously like Chris Paul will go in that deal, but would they be one of the top teams in the West? Absolutely. Like you put LeBron and Curry on the same team, I don't care who you have around them, they're going to be a pretty darn good team, especially and even with LeBron at this age. I just think that you saw it like when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant was on the team with Draymond, like it was almost unstoppable because I think I forgot who said it. Like you could just, if somebody doubles you, hey, pass it off. That's what the Warriors have been missing. And I know they won the title in 22, but since Kevin Durant left, they kind of have struggled because they haven't had that guy to back up Curry and Klay Thompson, because Draymond Green's obviously regressed offensively, but oh my God, the ratings, if LeBron and Steph Curry were on the same team, just imagine the Suns against Warriors in that, like both of those teams going at each other. That would, Kevin Durant and Booker against Curry and LeBron, the ratings would, I mean, break every rating. You have them
every
on prime
game
time
would
over,
be must-see TV.
Every game.
I mean, this is better than Taylor Swift, Hey, let's go to Jordan. And Jordan, I love how you seem to get the game historically. I'd love to, as you give us this take, give me a historical, like, what would this be the equivalent of? Like, who else teaming up would be similar to this from your perspective?
That's a good question. It's just, I just hope it won't turn out to be the Houston Rockets when Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, and all that, and Hakeem Olajuwon end up going together. Like during that time, was it exciting? Yes, it was exciting TV, but we also got to think about it. Stephen Curry, this is not Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green back in 2016, 2015. If that was happening, that would be unfair. Like they would have blocked it. Like they would block that trade. Like when Kobe was trying to, I think it was either Kobe trying. No, it was Chris Paul going to the Lakers. They would have blocked that trade automatically. But like right now, like they're older guys, and the thing is, it's like, would it be exciting? Would it be great for the NBA? Yes, but it's like thinking about for them going into the playoffs. It's just like, are they all going to be healthy and all going to be 100% to even contend? And then also, who's going to be their big guy? Because LeBron James is not going to want to guard the 5 the whole time during the playoffs. Like he doesn't want to. He don't got the legs for it. He's going to be the oldest guy on the team. He doesn't have the legs for it. And especially he's in a conference with Nikola Jokic. Like that don't seem fair.
Yeah, some good points there. A very similar historical reference to that. Perkins on the show today, if you guys saw it on McAfee or not, but his point was if they team up and lose and don't win the championship, which is highly likely, they still can't guard Jokic. They still would have to beat Boston, who can defend. If they lose, all the Jordan people, everybody this would hurt their legacy. If they team up and lose, it would really hurt both their legacies, is why it would never happen in reality. That was Perkins' take earlier today. Cameron, what do you think? Would they be the instant favorites, and what would be kind of a historical comparison to this? Oh, you're on mute still.
That's my fault, guys. So what I was saying was Jordan was right. They would just veto that trade. They did it. They did it with Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant on the tail end of his career. He was trying to get a couple more chips. They vetoed that, and it sucked. It would have been great for the NBA. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see a young Chris Paul go to the Lakers, but they took that. They took that from all of us NBA fans. And I think they would do that same thing with LeBron. Well, one, the Lakers would never get rid of LeBron. Okay, that's just not going to happen. And I think the deal would be more deadly is honestly if you sent Steph to the Lakers. If you had Steph as that number 3 superstar, as that we were talking about earlier, that would be crazy. You got AD, as gifted as he is, locking down the D, bringing the threat he does down low, and then LeBron and Steph. Man, that would be real unfair. And I think if that happened, if these two guys teamed up, it would just be like the last successful super team in the NBA, which was the Golden State. Or it was almost the Brooklyn Nets. But if KD's shoe size was just a little bit smaller, and if Kyrie didn't start acting the way he was, that's a big what if. But I think it's a lot like the Warriors and the super team that they built, because it was just unfair. Once I found out that Kevin Durant was going to the Golden State Warriors, it made it unfair for the league. You already know who was going to win, and they went out and dominated in the playoffs. Went 16-1. They almost went undefeated. 16-0 has never happened in any of the 4 major sports. So yeah, I think it'd be unfair, and it'd break the game. It'd break the views.
What do you think, David? Supposedly the Lakers asked LeBron if he wanted to go. They were going to consider it. I guess they don't want to keep him if he's not happy. What's your take on that, David?
Yeah, I don't think LeBron would want to go to a place like Golden State and be number 2, no matter where he goes. Even when he went to Miami, he was number 1. Yes, Dwayne Wade was the de facto leader or whatever, but LeBron knew he was the guy. Kind of going back to what you were talking about, Kendrick Perkins, though, saying that they know they're going to get a guy this summer in LA. Are we sure that because LeBron said it, he wants to play with Bronny. Are we knowing for a fact that he's going to stay in LA next year? I'm curious to know what y'all's take on that is.
Yeah, he has the opt out, right? So I think the consensus is he's going to go to whoever picks Bronny, who we talked about last night is not even on the radar to be a first round pick. What do you think, Will, about the super team?
LeBron's in an interesting place right now, man. Like, how many more years does he have? Like all that kind of stuff. So I don't hate the Lakers getting rid of him because like they can kind of develop a lot of people, you know? Like the Lakers kind of have to make the decision if they're in like win now mode, but I don't hate trading him for the future, you know? Because I don't know how much longer he's gonna be there, you know? He's gonna retire soon. And I think he loves Steph Curry. Like they got a solid relationship. So I like the trade and I like them coming together. You always see them talking after the game and that kind of stuff. And yeah, he's been known to go with his friends, you know, like he was best friends with like D Wade and Chris Bosh. So it wouldn't shock me. He's been tired. I think he's been frustrated at the Lakers, which I don't know if anyone's mentioned. I think he has kind of been frustrated with them at some points. So wouldn't shock me if he leaves.
Yeah, and that was part of what they talked about today on the McAfee show too, is they were interpreting this as like a vote of confidence that LeBron was showing in the Lakers by not even considering this trade. They're saying that that's a sign that he's wants to be here and is happy here. You know, this could all be just the Lakers spin. What do you think on that, Grant?
Yeah, I think that there have been rumors about LeBron leaving, but I think it's all just smoke. It was smoke before the trade deadline, just to get them to make a move, and obviously they didn't do that. Which is why you saw him put a Knicks towel over his head when they played the Knicks in New York. It was kind of like a sign to say, "Hey, do something." So they have a couple of routes, like David asked. Like LeBron has a $50 million player option. So if he opts into that, the Lakers can't trade him to anybody because nobody's going to want to take on a $50 million deal. And if so, you're going to have to match the contracts when you trade people back. So you're going to either have to gut your team to get LeBron or you're going to have to pay him 50 million for 1 year. So I don't really see an instance where the Lakers get rid of him just because it would be really hard. And I don't think LeBron's turning down 50 million a year. I know he's a billionaire and all that, but I just don't see him turning down that much money. Um, but yeah, there have been rumors about him leaving, and I could see why. Like the team has been pretty disappointing this year, right? And this is kind of the reason why I think they'll trade for another piece to supplement LeBron. Like I said about Trae Young, they have the picks to do so. Now it's on the Lakers, right? If the Lakers want to go ahead and say, "Hey, we care about our future because we don't know how many years you have left, LeBron," then they keep those picks and they have them. But if LeBron is pressuring them and if Rich Paul and Clutch is pressuring them, like, "Hey, I want to win one more title here," then they have the picks to go and trade them for somebody. But I just can't see LeBron leaving the Lakers at this point. He loves LA. His kid plays at USC. I don't even know if he'll get into the draft this year because he has been disappointing as well. I think he's a second round pick right now. Um, could Bronny join him on the Lakers? I don't know if the Lakers entertain that, but right now I can't see a scenario where LeBron leaves. I mean, if he were to leave, I'd like to see him go to the Knicks. I think the Knicks are an excellent team for him to go to. They need a wing, they need a forward. I think he would be an excellent piece for them. I think they'd be an instant contender, but again, like I said, there's so many factors that you got to take in other than just, hey, he wants to go there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say to play devil's advocate, I think LeBron doesn't need the money. He could sign for the minimum and go play with Bronny. He's always said that's his dream to play with his son. And that's how I see this going down. Someone will make a package deal and they'll take Bronny in the first round, which that gets his son like 4 years guaranteed contract, right? So he gives some security to his kid, and he rides out 4 years playing with his son. David, or last night, was saying he's got a younger son coming up 2 more years that he could even wind up playing with him too. So I think that leaving is a high possibility.
He's taking some pay cuts too.
Yeah,
in
just
his
pulled
career.
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. I said he's taken some pay cuts. So that's not crazy, Greg. He's
Yeah.
taken pay cuts multiple times. Yeah.
What are you thinking, Vincent?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with LeBron taking a pay cuts. I think he's just really rooted in LA at the moment. I don't think he's trying to leave. Like I said, his son's playing out there, has a house, big entertainment. I just don't think it's in his favor to leave at the moment. So for a guy like him, he can overlook 50 million. And on the flip side of him going to play in Golden State, I don't think he has a problem being number two, especially at this part of his career, when he went to Miami, back in 2011, 2012, he was the best player in the NBA at the time, arguably. So he knew he was going to be number one, but at this point, I think he's looking for something to kind of solidify his career. So with that, I don't think he just leaves LA because he's rooted there. He's really being a family guy right now. I think he stays for that reason. And if he does, then it has to be a for sure championship.
Yeah. Yeah, as you say that, I'm picturing a scenario where the Lakers bring in another star, like we've been talking about, and LeBron tells Bronny to stay in college another year. Because Bronny sucks right now. I mean, granted, he had a heart attack in the summer. Like, the best way for him to develop it would be to come back another year and be the star player. He's not even the star player on that team. I feel like if Bronny comes out this year, that's like daddy forcing that dream of them playing together on him, and that's not good for Bronny. What do you think, Cameron?
So yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm actually pretty excited. Steph and LeBron are going to team up this summer for Team USA. They both committed to it. So I'm pretty excited to see those two on the court. Kevin Durant's going to be a part of the squad as well. I think Devin Booker. So I'm excited to see those two at least be on the same floor together this summer.
Is that right? Yeah, I haven't looked into too much yet of what's going to be happening this summer. I love when we have summer ball, right? It's what is this, the Summer Olympics year coming up?
Yeah, in Paris, I believe.
Nice. Yeah, Summer Olympics with LeBron and Steph and KD. Wow, that will be some good entertainment. I always dread July, right? It's NBA season ends in June and fantasy football starts up in August. So July, like if that's the Summer Olympics, that's just perfect. I worry about those old guys. Like, that's a bad omen going into the NBA season if they don't get their rest in the off season. What do you think on that, Jordan?
About the USA Olympics,
or any of those things you wanted to talk on?
Well, I just want to say about LeBron James. I think he should stay with the Lakers. Unless he's going back to his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, and going back to the Cleveland Cavaliers and retire as a Cavalier. I feel like if he ends up going anywhere else, especially going to a contender, the Knicks, or going to Golden State, I agree with Perk. It's going to ruin his legacy. It's going to hurt it, especially for a lot of people who are pro Jordan fans. And I'm honestly, you see my first name, I am a pro Michael Jeffrey Jordan fan all the way. I feel like him going to another contender just because he wants to win his fifth ring, I'm gonna look at it as just now it's yes, we're all chasing rings, but it's just you're not trying to help build the culture. You're just trying to go into another culture and being hey, let me be this missing piece, and boom, 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 let's get a ring, instead of staying with the Lakers, trying to bring back the Laker culture and build that Laker culture up and win rings. Because right now, he's not even the best Laker ever. He's not. It's going to Kobe, at all. And I feel it's just, I feel like it will leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth if he leave the Lakers next year. It would.
Yeah, a lot in there. I think first, don't get me started on Kobe Magic Johnson comparisons, but if I think LeBron's reputation for building culture is already trashed. He's already shown he don't give a crap about the team, that he's about chasing rings. and he still doesn't have that many rings for all his efforts of chasing them. You know, losing to Dallas, something we've talked about a couple times on the show. To me, that's like the ultimate smudge on his resume. That was a ring that they just should have had. So yeah, I mean, Cleveland, if he goes back to Cleveland and teams up with Bronny, Cleveland does have a nice young roster right now. That'd be pretty interesting if he, if he could take, and it's not, he'd still be the marquee player, right? If he went to Cleveland. I think that's an interesting point that you make about him, going back to Cleveland. If they don't have to give up Mitchell and keep that team intact, that would be really interesting. What are you thinking on this, David?
Yeah, for sure. First thing I want to say is, Cameron, I love your excitement about the Olympics, but as we saw just a few years ago, it seemed like everybody was going to go, and then at the last minute, everybody decided to pull out. So it was really just KD, Dame dragging everybody else through the mud. I was surprised they even won it all, honestly. But as far as LeBron, I'm really interested to see what happens with Bronny this summer, to see if he ends up pulling out and if LeBron does stick to his word. Because I know there's some cities, Houston, for example, LeBron's already said, like, I hate that city. I don't want to go there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if Cleveland drafts him. I could see him leaving to have that storybook ending. But I think Vincent said, maybe LeBron wouldn't mind being a number 2 somewhere else. The reason I don't agree with that is because he himself has said it. He's chasing ghosts. He's chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan, and I do think that LeBron will probably play another 3-4 years, 5 max. I don't see him playing more than that. So it'll be interesting to see, if he does decide to ring chase, how does that affect his legacy? How does that? Because there's people that believe LeBron's already better than Michael. There's people that believe that he's already lost the finals. There's no chance, but he's already broken Kareem's record just this a year ago. So it'll be interesting to see how something like that would affect his legacy. And I think he knows in his head that he cannot be a number 2 to a Steph Curry, to a Giannis. There's not many people he would be a number 2 to, but those are the 2 guys off the top of my head. Even the Joker. Joel Embiid, maybe. I couldn't see him going to a city like that, even if Bronny were to go there, just because of the legacy.
Yeah, I love it. We all had something good to talk about this. I was thinking about what would be a team up from my day, right? I'm in my 50s, so I lived through the 80s, being in Boston in the 90s. I'm like, imagine if Bird and Magic were on the same team. That's what it would be like with Curry and LeBron to team up. That just would have been like insane. Like they hated each other back then, right? Rivalry wise. In real life, they were friends with each other. Yeah, I think Jordan kind of neatly opened the door to always a fun discussion would be our top players all time. And I'd love to get everyone's take on here. In the interest of time, let's have round 1. We're going to each go through, give our top 5 players all time, but not really any reasons why or anything. Just kind of give us your list. And then we can go back and through and kind of pick at each other's lists and have fun with that. And I'll go first. And it's okay. I mean, I don't consider players I never saw play. So for me, like, even though I'm a Boston guy, Bill Russell's not on my list because I really never really saw him play, right? He's just a legend I've read about. So if you don't want to include those guys, that's okay. But we're going to go through let's have each person give their top 5 without any talking on it. And then we'll kind of circle back through. So I'll go first here with mine. So my list goes Jordan, Magic, which all my Boston friends kill me for saying that Magic was better than Bird, but I feel like I look at it objectively. I go Jordan, Magic, LeBron, Kobe, Steph. That's my top 5 all time. Let's go to Grant and then Vincent. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Magic, and Kareem as my top five.
All right. Cool. Jordan?
Um, I'm going to go. I'm going to go Jordan, Magic, Shaq, LeBron, and then Kobe.
Interesting. Shaq. Yeah, the big men don't always get the respect. Moses?
Do you mind if I do it by positions, like top 5 starting lineup?
You can do what you want, but we're trying to do top 5 all time to compare them.
All right. So point guard position, I'm going to go for Magic Johnson. Shooting guard, I'm going to say Michael Jordan. Small forward, LeBron James. Power forward, we're going to go for Giannis. Center, we're going to go for Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay. Cool. Vincent?
I'm gonna go LeBron, MJ, Kobe, Steph, and Kareem.
LeBron number 1.
Well, in order, yeah, I'm a big LeBron fan, so I'll go, yeah, in
Okay.
that order. Yep.
Okay. Let's see what we heard from Cameron.
All right, so I'll go with Jordan number 1, LeBron number 2, and that's just clear cut. And then I go with number 3. I'll go with Steph. 4, man, there's so many great big men in the NBA, especially in the past. Like Tim Duncan got all those championships, but Giannis shows that he's unstoppable. So, oh man, that 4 spot's real tough. And then 5, I like the dominance in Shaq. Or how about this newcomer in Jokic, man? Jokic is I know I got a couple modern players on my list, but you know what? Since someone already said Shaq, I'll take Jokic.
Okay, yeah, I love that you mentioned Duncan. I feel like he gets disrespected a lot on these lists. He's got the rings. Jokic only has 1 ring. If that's your criteria, everyone can have their own criteria, though. Go ahead, David.
I noticed that our list seem to contain like the same 4 players, so I'll just give you my different one first. Hakeem the Dream, Jordan, Bron, Kobe, Shaq, and I guess Steph Curry. Also, that man just can't miss. Oh man, it's crazy.
Hakeem the Dream, the Houston guy. I would expect nothing less. He brought you your 2 rings. And you guys drafted him before Jordan, and I think based on what we knew at the time, it was the best move you could make. So interesting.
What's crazy is they actually offered us Jordan and Clyde Drexler in that draft so they could get Malone. So I we didn't take it.
I think this is one of the hardest questions you can ask an NBA fan,
I agree.
Greg.
I don't get that. To me, it's and I'm like, notice I don't put Boston guys in there. It's just rings to me. It's rings, and were you the dominant player on your team? Like, I discount Shaq and Kobe because, like, to me, they were both dominant, right? Were you by far the dominant player on your team? Which to me, that's my criteria. So Jordan obviously dominated, obviously undefeated, is by far, right? Six rings is also by far, right? So next to me, I go to Magic. Magic was by far the dominant player. The Lakers team was loaded, but he has 4 rings and they were loaded, right? Where'd I say you go next? Kobe, LeBron, Kobe, and Steph. Kind of round out my order. Let's say if anybody's had anyone they heard stand out. So Vincent, you had LeBron, right? Number 1 or number 2?
Yeah.
How do you rank LeBron above Jordan based on what?
I didn't really get to watch Jordan with my own 2 eyes.
That's fair. That's
But
fair.
that's a good starting point. But I do recognize his greatness. For me, I grew up being a big LeBron fan. Those years when they were just trying to get to the championship, trying to get through, I think it was Orlando at the time, and just kind of growing and seeing it. And then when he went to Miami, but for me, the biggest thing is although he doesn't have the rings to back it up yet, we never know. I don't think we'll ever see anybody play the game like him. That guy who can play 1 through 5, not a guy who's playing into his 40s, putting up what 30, 40-point games this season. I don't think we'll ever see a guy like him, and hopefully his sons help his standings, help his legacy. But I just don't ever see us seeing a guy like LeBron. I think he is a rare one of one. Also the same for Mike, but you can always argue that Kobe was a reborn Mike in a way. You see a lot of similarities in the games, the mindsets. I think those two were very similar. It's just Mike did it better than Kobe, but Kobe came right after him. So that's what I would say. And then Steph, he's a guy who changed the game. I think LeBron changed. I think Mike changed the game. I think Kobe kind of was like Mike. I think LeBron changed the game. I think Steph really changed the game in a way where everybody got to shoot threes now. He's not that tall. He's not that athletically amazing, but his skill is crazy high.
Yeah,
love
yeah. I
it.
mean, it's good, and it's not fair if you didn't see somebody play. I said that right from the beginning. I don't really know, what age people are. For me with sports, I tend to root against the golden child. But to me, the LeBrons, the Peyton Mannings, the people that just are like second generation players that seem like they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Like those are the guys that I have always rooted against, and especially if they're going to go against Boston, which Peyton happened to do. LeBron had some great battles with the Celtics. I love when LeBron couldn't beat Paul Pierce, in his early years in the playoffs. Like I love going against LeBron and just beating him, just like I love beating Peyton. By out hustling him, by outsmarting him, by outworking him, you beat the guy who's born with everything. But then, and so it's funny, I always didn't like LeBron. And then last year, I found myself like looking at the Western playoffs and I'm like, who do I root for from these teams? And I'm like, you know what? LeBron has stuck around long enough where he's won me over. And now he's like my guy 20 years later. He's like nurtured me. He's worked me to where like I have a new level of respect. Like you said, he's been around a long time. And I do respect greatness, and he's proven it. It's hard to live up to the hype. It's hard to be the anointed one and actually live up to it. And LeBron has done that, and so and he's never had any trouble, any scandals, anything like that. I think that's part of his legacy as well. And he's not just a scorer. Like I put Magic high because he was a passer. I would say guys that are like Jordan and Kobe are just killers, and but they're also like pure scorers. It's a different style of leadership. Who has Kobe above? Anybody have Kobe above LeBron and wants to give a take on that? Nobody put Kobe above Jordan, right? Does anybody want to chime in on Kobe Bryant? Why? Well, let's go to why. Who has Kobe Bryant above Magic Johnson and why? We'll go to
I did. I had Jordan, then LeBron, then Kobe. Just because if we're gonna say that Michael Jordan and Kobe are extremely similar, then obviously we have to put Kobe up there above Magic Johnson. And look, I'm not taking anything away from Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was one of the best floor generals of all time, right? He could score. He's the one that created the Showtime Lakers, essentially. So you got to put him in the top five. But for Kobe, I mean, just his mentality alone changed the NBA, right? Like that Kobe Mamba mentality. A lot of players now try to emulate that, and obviously a lot of them fail because it's hard to replicate what Kobe's mentality was, his work ethic. I think you got to take that into account when you're naming these players. Like Jordan had that, LeBron has it at times. Sometimes he doesn't have it, but that mentality that he had, not just that, but his how clutch he was. I mean, Kobe would make some shots at the end of games that I was just shaking my head. Like when I was younger, I would watch him and I would just be like, how on earth did he make that? There's a reason why when we throw paper into a trash can we yell Kobe and we don't yell like obviously maybe some people now say Curry, but
you throw it behind
just
your
like
back, you yell Magic.
yeah, exactly right. Like if you pass it off to somebody you'll say Magic, but like Kobe, just the way he would take over games down the stretch is something that like we saw in Michael Jordan. So for me, he won 5 titles. Like he has more than LeBron. He has one less than Jordan, same as Magic. So, I mean, I think he has to be in a top three just because of how much he's won, what he's done individually. I mean, he scored 81 in a game too. I don't think any of these other guys in the top five did that either. And I know he's notorious for not passing the ball, but Kobe was just an unbelievable scorer, uber athletic. Like he won the dunk contest when he was young too. That's something that you can't say about LeBron or Magic or any of these guys. So he's uber athletic. He could score. He was clutch. The mentality defensively, he was an all defensive player too. At what 15 plus time All-Star. So I had to put him in my top three. If we're comparing him to Jordan and saying like he's a Jordan clone, I had to put him in my top three.
Yeah, you make a strong case there for Kobe, and I would include his final game too. Like, what a
Yeah.
way to go out at the end like that. And I like Boston had a lot of tough rivalries with Kobe, so he was that guy I hated to go up against. I was shocked that we beat him that year in the championship. One of my philosophies is that in general in sports, the team with the best star wins. The team rarely beats the star. I think this past Super Bowl was another example of that. But Boston did it, man. They were a team that beat Kobe that year to my own surprise. And I was never a fan of Kobe. And then when he died, it like really hit me. Like I'm like, wow, why am I like tearing up for Kobe dying when it's a guy I've hated my whole life? And there was like this respect for everything you said. He worked hard. He came out of high school and just went to work every day and played through those injuries. Like, yeah, he has quite the legacy.
It's
Um,
crazy
Bias
because
is
it's
perfect
crazy because
example of that.
Doc Rivers is the one that beat him in that finals you were talking about. It's kind of crazy. That's his only ring.
Yeah, I mean that's like that's like to his credit. I was at that game six. They closed him out. Ray Allen went nuts. And that was really the beginning of this generation of dream teams, even before, LeBron will say that's why he had to go to Miami, right? He couldn't beat Boston when those three guys teamed up. I do feel like the Shaq effect is not that Shaq's not respected enough. Like if Shaq's in people's top five lists, that's gotta, and Shaq won the finals MVP all 3 years they were together. Like Kobe was a number two those years, in my opinion. He was the closer, but that's like Robert Horry is a closer, I think that's and those to me were unfair years. So the league let Shaq and Kobe team up. Like, come on, they were the two best players in the league for those years. What do you see on that, Jordan?
I just wanted to piggyback with about like the Shaq take, and the main reason why like I have him as like the top three. I think I have him as my third person, like the best player of all time, is because like it's like especially from like when he got drafted in like 1992 with the Magic, and until like I would say to the end of the Heat when he was like with the Heat when he won the championship with like '06. Like he was the most dominant force like you would ever seen in the game of basketball. And like you seen this big guy who was a terrible free throw shooter and only like shot literally was inside the paint. And he was unstoppable. He was like, I think at one point he was ranging from 350 to 400 pounds, and he could run like a gazelle and like jump and dunk over people's head. Like, and that's like unbelievable. And I think one thing I think a lot of people really don't talk about with Shaq is because people just look at him as a bully and a dominant force at everything. And if you actually really look at Shaquille's game and watch like full game footage of him or just even highlights of his game, like he had a great post game. He definitely had a great post game. I would say, and I would like, give up to David. Like he definitely got it from Hakeem Olajuwon because Hakeem Olajuwon, he was the best at post moves and everything like that. But like if you look at his post game, I feel like that's probably one of the most underrated things about Shaquille O'Neal. And with that combination of power, with that, like that right there was like so unstoppable. Like low-key, Shaquille O'Neal should have way more MVPs. And like who took them. like Steve Nash took him, and he should have had way more MVPs than what he has right now. So
Yeah.
I had to put like Shaq in the top.
And I'll just add, like, his durability for a man of his size to have played as much as he did. He would miss maybe 20 games a year, but in general, like, he played every year for a long time. You see these big guys, constantly coming into the league, and they don't last, they don't last at all. Ralph Sampson and Greg Oden, and so Shaq's durability, really impressed me. And it's funny. I look at him as like one of the most fun guys around the league. Back in the early days, I was one of the people who would be like, "Oh, he shouldn't be rapping. He should be focused on fixing his free throws." But he was having fun, Like, now that I've matured, I kind of look back on Shaq and I'm like, he was doing fun stuff in basketball. But if Shaq is top 5 all time, that's gotta mean Kobe can't be top 5. They can't both, like, if there's 100% credit for those championships, you got to divvy it out, right? On Jordan's team, he gets 95% of the credit for his championships. If Shaq and Kobe are each getting 50%, then to me that impacts both of their legacies, that they were blessed enough to team up like that. What do you think on that, Cameron?
So I was just gonna say, I noticed with a lot of our lists, we all picked guards and forwards, and I think we should throw in at least one center. And then when you try to dial it down of who the greatest center is of all time, if you go by rings, it's Bill Russell. If you go by dominance, it's either Wilt Chamberlain or Shaquille O'Neal. If you go by skill, I mean, I'm really impressed with what I see with Jokic today. So I think it's just it's real tough trying to dial in who the greatest big of all time is, because they're also, even Kareem, number 2 in points, had the unstoppable sky hook. So it's just real. And then Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. I didn't mean to leave him out, David. He was also another one of the most skilled big guys the league has ever seen. So try and pick that one guy and throw him in your top 5. It's just real hard. They're all super skilled. They all brought championships. They were all dominant. That's just my take on the big men.
Yeah, I don't put any big men in my list because by the way the game's designed, they're typically not the closer. They do dominate, but if you're not hitting the game-winning shot at the end, by my definition of greatest players, you can't be on the list. So I don't put any big men there. But I think, if you reword the question to who was the most dominant, like you said, Cameron, then it's a whole new discussion. And, that's how you really have a lot of fun with these types of topics. It's almost like a great lawyer. They can just slightly change the question, like, who's the most talented player of all time? Okay, now, maybe KD gets in my conversation, right? But who's the greatest champion, would be different. When we just say best, that's a little bit vague, and that's what makes it fun too. We all have different lists. What are you feeling on this, Will?
I think people undervalue Scottie Pippen a lot, especially after watching that, the show. Like, he balled out that year that Michael Jordan was not there, and he was maybe one of the best players in the league, if I remember right, when Michael Jordan took that year off to play baseball. But yeah, I think you can have 2 players, man, from the same team. I'm not sure if you're creating a dream team, I think you could have 2 players that play together. So I think Tim Duncan could be the big man. I think he has the potential. And then I think Jordan and Pippen were great together. I think I would add them, and then I would add LeBron. And then as a guard, there's a lot of choices for a guard. You could go Magic. I really liked Allen Iverson, actually. I think he was a great player, and he could be a really good guard kind of distributor for that team. But yeah, I think Jordan and Pippen could be on it because I think they just gelled so well together.
Yeah, I picked the Bulls to win the championship that year after Jordan left. I was a big believer in Pippen, but he didn't do it. He didn't win in the playoffs when Jordan left. So that to me, left a big void. He also went to a loaded Portland team. I picked him again to that day because Shaq and Kobe hadn't won anything, and I was with you. I believed that Pippen. He didn't do it. So Pippen to me is a Robin, right? There's Batmans and there's Robins in the league. And if we're talking greatest, we're talking comparing Batmans. The list of greatest Robins is a different list. The problem with Shaq and Kobe is like, who's the Batman and who's the Robin? If you really believe in Shaq, then Kobe was a Robin for those years. He was the closer, and Shaq was the dominant player. And Shaq won the MVP all 3 years of those finals. And to me, that knocks down Kobe below Magic Johnson in my lists. David, what are you feeling on this? We got to get some Houston.
Yeah. No, I'm actually interested in your take that Shaq and Kobe can't coincide in the top five list. I think, as I said, Curry. Those are at least two of my top six, because they were just so dominant. You couldn't stop Shaq, and when it seemed like your team was going to win by 10, of course, Kobe just shooting away and you're winning by 3. It just seemed like there's nothing you could do to stop those teams, right? So my question to you, Greg, is so you're saying they can't be top 5 because they played on the same teams. As a Boston guy, how do you feel as though Belichick and Brady can't be top 5 because they led each other to 6 Super Bowls? You got the greatest quarterback of all time, greatest coach of all time. It seems like they can't be top 5 if they were together. So I'm interested to see what your take is on that, because then we saw Belichick kind of struggled without Brady. Brady won the Super Bowl the next year. Shaq went and played in won a ring in Miami. Kobe went to 3 more finals, won 2 with the Lakers. So I think, if anything, you would say the combo of Shaq and Kobe was a better combination, more dominant combination, if you take into the account the after they split up than Brady and Belichick, if we're using that logic.
A lot in there. Well, and so first off, I still had Kobe in my top 5. I just dropped him below Magic to number 3, based on the fact that I think he was riding Shaq's coattails for those 3 championships. And I bumped Shaq from the list because I said I don't put big man in my list by nature of the position. So I'm not saying they can't be in the top 5. To the Belichick Brady comparison, first of all, it's a coach and a player. It's not 2 players. So that's, kind of an apples to oranges comparison. But to me, Brady's the greatest winner of all time. He's not the greatest quarterback of all time. He has the most rings. And we'll save the whole football conversation for another day. But I feel like Belichick can be the greatest coach of all time. Brady can be the greatest quarterback of all time. And that's because it's a player and a coach, it's not as discounted as 2 players being together. When Brady left and won without Belichick, to me, that took Brady's legacy to a whole nother level. Belichick did make the playoffs that year. He should have walked away after that year. And then he could have said that he's at that other level too. But Belichick's coming back is really hurt his legacy. He wants to break Shula's record, and Belichick's downfall was drafting. He just hasn't been able to draft as of recently. Not always, but just recently.
I guess the point was more of they're credited for so much of that success that when they split up, they still, again, Kobe played in 3 more finals, won 2 more. Shaq won another one. It's like, my point was more, you can't discount them because even when they split up, they were still so successful.
They both still won championships even after they split up, I think is your point. And I think it's possible to discount Shaq's championship, right? Because Wade, Wade was the killer and the closer on that team, and not Shaq. But yeah, I'll say, like, Kobe, if Kobe did not win those other rings with he wouldn't be in my top 5 at all. That's what put him over the top. Like the fact that he was able to go on to win without Shaq is what put him into the conversation, right? And also that's total number of rings, like having two on his own. Was that's when Kobe really went to the next level. And then I guess my observation would be that's Kobe's growth. To me, Kobe was the Robin when he played with Shaq. Very good Robin, probably the best Robin of all time. And then when Shaq left, Kobe took it up to a whole nother level and became a Batman. Moses, what do you got on this?
So I've got an honorable mention for top 5, and I'm going to put Larry Bird in there. Larry Bird, that man right there was a monster. He was the prominent guy on his team. He did have the supporting cast of Coach Mikhail, John Havlicek, but ultimately that man, he led the team in rebounds at small positions, 24.3 points, averaged over 897 games. Larry Bird definitely makes an argument for the second best small forward underneath LeBron James. Scottie Pippen's there too, but when you look at the offensive skill set of Scottie Pippen compared to Larry Bird definitely takes the cake. So at the honorable mention right there, Larry Bird.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. None of us had Bird in our top 5. I don't think that's commonplace or mainstream, especially for me as a Boston guy. To what you said, I mean, Bird won 3 championships, right? He won one in just his second year.
Awards.
And he had 3 MVP awards in a row. He was on a great team. I discount that team as 4 Hall of Famers, really 5 if you count Walton. So I take that fairly, just like I discount Shaq and Kobe. I give Bird that same, team discount. And I mean, Bird to me is a Batman all the way, right? He was the leader of that team. Pippen was never a Batman. He was always a Robin. So I don't put Pippen in the same conversation. Pippen's probably not in my top 50 all time. And again, I was a guy who believed in him. I saw what he was capable of. So good points about Bird. Anybody else have any takes of players we've been talking about? Let's go to Cameron.
I just wanted to give my take on the game that we're watching real quick.
Ooh, yeah, let's pop back over there.
It's getting close, guys.
I wanted to say that Grant was right about eyeballing is it Vince Williams and GG Jackson. They've been honestly playing like all-stars this game. That's the reason why Memphis has the lead. And also Zaire Williams, as soon as I mentioned that Dame Lillard was playing good defense, Zaire lit him up for 17 in that third quarter. So
wow.
But I do see the Bucks. I think they might squeak this one out a little bit, but this defense is looking terrible, and I'm actually concerned about the Bucks headed into the All-Star break.
Yeah, if they lose this game, I'm right there with you. I mean, this is they got to right the ship. How crazy is it that Doc Rivers is going to be coaching the All-Star team too, right? He wasn't just took over this team a few weeks ago, and now he's coaching the All-Star game because the Boston coach coached it last year. I don't know when they added that rule, but what do you got on this game we're watching, Grant?
Well, I was just gonna ask something for everybody because I'm always thrilled by these kinds of questions. Like, who do you guys have in your top 3 in each conference? Like, if I were to say, like, these 2 teams and these 2 teams in each conference are going to get to their conference finals, like, who would you guys have in the conference finals right now? Because we've seen, like, literally over a half of a year already, so we kind of have a little bit of a gist on, like, who's good and who's not, who's contending and who's not. So I just wanted to see what everyone's thoughts were on, like, your top 4, or from 2 from each conference or 3 from each conference. It doesn't matter, like, just your top teams in each conference. Because mine, I think I would go, like, I know it's still really early, but I still think my Clippers are a top 3 team in the West. I also think the Nuggets are a top team in the West. And then number 3, honestly, if I'm looking at number 3 in the West, like a top 3 team, I'd put either the Suns or the Timberwolves in my as my 3rd team. In the East, I'd put the Celtics. I think the Celtics right now are the best team in basketball, like overall. So I'd put them as my number one in the East. Then I'd put the Knicks, and then I'd also put the Cavaliers. So I'm leaving the Bucks out of the top three for me. Because I just think that the Knicks will eventually, I know they're on a 4-game losing streak, but I think they're going to get together. They made a good trade. They had a great trade deadline. They got Bogdanovich, they got Alec Burks. And the Cavaliers are like one of the hottest teams in all of basketball. Like they have everything you need as a contender. So that I just wanted to see what everyone thought about that.
Yeah, great topic to bring up for the stretch run here. I'm going to narrow the question down just for everyone in the interest of time. And I want, before you finish, Grant, I want to get your take. So teams that you think have a legit chance to win the title, and not more than 4. So what would be your teams, Grant? Not more than 4 that you think have a legit team.
Yeah. Yeah, so my conference finals right now would be Clippers Nuggets in the West, and then in the East it would be Celtics Knicks.
Okay. Okay, cool. Will, you got your camera off. I'm not sure if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm here. It's hard
All
to
right.
be with this game, man. It's just hard for really good teams to get the desire to beat teams like Memphis, you know? So I'm not worried about the Bucks with this, but I think the Celtics are a near lock, you know, in the East. The Knicks have looked really good this year, I think. But I don't know if they have it in them. They didn't last year and they didn't gain a whole lot. And then in the West, I think there's a few teams. So I'll go Nuggets, I'll go Timberwolves, and I'll go OKC has a shot, but I think either Phoenix or Clippers. I'll probably do half and half on that, but Nuggets and Timberwolves are the 2 really good teams, and then I'm going Celtics for sure. I don't see anybody beating them in the East.
All right. Let's go to Jordan. Your top 4 there, or the teams you think have a legit shot at the title. Because my
Okay,
only actually have 3.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in the East, I would definitely put the Celtics is definitely the top. They're the favorite, and then I'm gonna put the Knicks because I feel like each game they are getting better and better. And like Jalen Brunson, he is the real deal. The West is definitely going to be a hard one because it's a lot of good teams. It's going to be a really good fight. I'm going to put the Nuggets because I feel like the Nuggets, especially after the All-Star break, is going to come around and like just get back on track and be good. And also, I'm going to root for the Timberwolves. I've been a big Anthony Edwards fan, and like he is starting to show very much promise. He's giving me the Kobe effect that I have not seen before by any other player. And also that Rudy Gobert trade is actually working with the Timberwolves. Like that was not a fail for the Timberwolves. It actually, like Rudy Gobert actually compliments Cat, which I was very surprised. So I feel like those 2.
Yeah, I love you had good reasons for all them. The Knicks, man, I would love to see the Knicks make a run. That'd be so good. I'm a big Jalen Brunson fan, but I don't think they have any legitimate chance.
But it's good for basketball. It's good for the NBA to see.
Yeah, but if we're talking about who really has a chance to win a championship, like there's no way they're beating. I don't know. I just don't put them in the class that's there. I'll save my take for the end, though. Let's go to Cameron.
Okay, so I think there's only one team in the East that has a shot at winning, and that's the Celtics. I expect them to be in the finals. I mean, I think teams that could take them down is potentially the Cavaliers. Or, you know what, this one's a little bit of a wild take, but I really like Tyrese Halliburton. He is a really good player. He went pretty deep in that NBA play-in, you know. So I think he went to the championship, I believe, and lost to the Lakers. And then if we shift over to the West, my top 2 teams clearly in the West is the Nuggets and the Clippers. And the thing about the Nuggets and Clippers, right? The Nuggets are not playing good basketball right now. Like heading into the All-Star break, they're not playing too good. But the Clippers, since December 1st, I believe they're 25-7. That's the league best in the new year. They have the best record. So I expect the Clippers to make a deep run, and I do think they squeaked out that dub, dropping 40 points in the fourth quarter last night. Grant, I thought the Warriors had that one. They were the better team
You're right.
3 quarters, but I really like the Clippers Nuggets. And then the Thunder, man, they play. I don't think they'll win, but hey, let's not forget they're the best defensive team in the West. They play really good defense. And then I think if the Suns kind of have a little bit of a super team over there, if you think about it. If they can figure things out, they've been injured this year, but if they can figure things out, they can give any one of those contenders a good shot in the series.
All right. Good takes. Good takes. Let's see. Let's go to Vincent. Who do you think has a legit chance at winning the championship this year?
Legit chance. Going to the East side, like everybody's saying, I think Celtics are the best lock. Knicks are playing well. Bucks look mad tonight, but I
don't mention them if you don't think they can really win the championship.
I think I'm gonna go. Ooh, that's actually tough because I do like the Pacers. Also, I like the Pacers. I really do. Dark horse type. But if not the Pacers, the Bucks. I think they get it together. I think they have a lot of games for the coach, players to mesh.
The Pacers, they would have to run the gauntlet to win the championship, right? They would have to beat Boston, Bucks, Cavs, and then like Denver. That's asking a lot.
There's always a top team that gets upset in the playoffs. I bet you the Pacers or Cavs can knock off one of those top teams.
Or the Heat too.
I know. I was gonna say I'm shocked nobody mentioned the Heat. Like
I'm
just
about
like
to.
a wild card,
Sleeper.
outside chance kind of team.
Yeah, everybody counts them out. They just lost a lot of their role players. We'll see, man, if Rozier can fill in there. I'm a big Rozier fan. All right, who haven't we heard from yet? David, and we're doing legit chance at winning the title.
Yeah. So I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but Milwaukee just took the lead.
Yeah.
So at 421, 198, Milwaukee's up by 2. As far as who has who I think will win the title, so I talked about it yesterday. Phil Jackson has this rule. So if you want to know who the contenders are, they're the teams that'll win 40 games before they have 20 losses. If you have 20 losses before you have 40 wins, you're not a contender. As of this moment in time, the only team that hit 40 before 20 is the Celtics. So that's the team I'm rolling with. There's only 5 other teams that can match that. The only other team in the East that can match that is the Cavs. The top 4 in the West, they have a chance. But I am pulling for the Clippers because I want Harden to get his ring. But right now, I only see the Celtics winning it all.
Makes sense. Let's see. Moses, did you give us yours?
No, but in the East, I'm gonna have the Celtics versus the Heat. And we've seen when Jimmy Butler locks in the playoffs, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and the crew. So they are a legitimate contender. They've knocked off the Bucks recently in a regular season game by 20-plus points. So that in itself shows there's a potential. All right. In the West, I'm going to give it to be the Clippers against the Nuggets. Okay. Clippers against the Nuggets. Now, I haven't been watching the NBA at the beginning of the season, so I don't have too much of a take on the West side of what's been going on. But since coming back and watching in January, I've seen the Heat, some other teams, really, the Knicks, they're looking good. The Cavs, they came out of nowhere. They rose from the ashes. So it's going to be very interesting what happens definitely in the West with all those good teams this year.
Good take. Good take. All right, I'm going to give you guys my take. First, let me give you my criteria for this. So my number one criteria is a team has to have playoff experience beyond going past the first round. Historically, teams don't come out of nowhere and win a championship. It has happened a few fluke times, but in general, Minnesota, OKC, Cavs, they're off my list because they just don't have any playoff experience. That's number one. Number two, defense. You got to be able to defend. The best teams that can defend typically win the championship. Boston is by far the best defensive team in the league this year. And number three is you got to have a closer. And ideally, the best closer in the league wins the game. And Tatum, as much as I love him, he's capable. He's got all the skills to be the greatest closer. He hasn't proven that he can do it yet. That's my biggest question mark on him. Jokic, and Murray have proven they can close it and kill it. And so is Giannis. Giannis has won a ring. He's closed it. He's killed it. He can defend. Giannis meets my criteria. So to me, Boston is the only team in the East that has any legit chance, unless and the other thing is if Porzingis gets hurt, then they're very vulnerable to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a long shot. They would have to get their shit together and Porzingis get hurt to knock off Boston. Otherwise, Boston is a lock. And the only team I don't want to play is Miami. Miami defends. Miami has Butler as a closer, and they have playoff experience, right? So I don't want to play Miami, but I think Boston is a lock for the finals. And then if we apply that same criteria to the West, let me hop back over to the standings here. So basically the Thunder and Minnesota, as much as I'll be rooting for them, it's cool to have fresh blood. I don't see either of them making the finals, let alone winning it. They just don't have the playoff experience to get there. Nuggets, to me, the Nuggets clearly the favorites in the West. The Clippers, Kawhi is a proven closer. Kawhi is a proven defender. I don't know about the rest of that team defending. And they do have playoff experience on that team. I don't really consider, to me, they're as much a long shot as the Bucks because somebody always gets hurt on that roster too. Like they just cannot stay healthy between Kawhi and Paul George. And I think Harden and Westbrook are negatives, not helping that team get any better. So to me, to sum it up, I got Boston and Denver with Milwaukee as a long shot if there's an injury somewhere. Those are the only three that have a legit chance at winning the championship this year based on my criteria. Will, let's take your final take, and then we want to focus in on the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, my final take, man, is just looking at that 7 through 10. That is on the West. That's scary, man. Like, I did not know the Pelicans were that good. They're balling to be number 6, but that 7 to 10, they got some of the best. I mean, the Kings were really good last year, right?
Yeah, and Luka can win a series anytime. So I'm a big Zion fan. I'd love to see the Pelicans. It's going to be tough. I mean, the Suns are loaded, right? Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of playoff experience. The West is going to be a brutal beatdown. And I think that's going to wear and tear on those teams as well. All right, we got 3 minutes left. We got a 1-point game. Anybody want to try giving us play-by-play?
I could do it.
All right, go for it, Grant.
I'm not too bad at it. Damian Lillard takes the ball up half court, get a double screen and roll, looks like. A turnover by Damian Lillard. I think that's Gigi Jackson. I'm looking at a feed where there's 4 screens. Santi Aldama was going to try a 3 from the. Now there's another 3 from the corner. Look, bang!
You might be a little behind us too.
Oh, maybe I am. Yeah, because I'm looking at a TNT feed, so maybe I'm behind.
I'm just a few seconds behind that.
Giannis is taking the ball up the court like a point guard. Another pick and look at that, and that's Malik Beasley, by the way, who just tried that 3. He was a Laker legend, and then they let him go.
Everyone, real quick, y'all think Memphis or Milwaukee's gonna win? Thumbs up for Memphis, thumbs down for Milwaukee.
Did you see that alley-oop?
I saw that alley-oop.
That's what I was reacting to 2 minutes before you got there.
I saw that alley-oop. And that was Zaire Williams, too.
That's Memphis, right, David? Oh,
yeah.
I called Grizzlies
thumbs down, and you think Milwaukee's gonna win?
Oh, I'm gonna go Memphis. I'm going Memphis.
1, 2, 3.
I still think I'm gonna pull for Lillard.
4.
Yeah, the Bucks been choking lately, man.
Cameron,
4 out of 10 games.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull for the Bucks.
Bucks, Greg.
I'm gonna go Bucks too.
Okay.
I said
4-point game
Grizzlies
right
at
now.
the start. It's tough, you guys. I've been saying it. It's hard to beat. The Grizzlies are treating this like a championship,
Yeah.
Like they want to beat the best team. The Bucks are like, you guys suck. Doesn't matter. It's tough to keep these W's like this.
Hope nobody bet on the Bucks tonight with the spread. Got the guys in here talking about they can get the spread. I haven't seen them since.
Like
Yeah,
this is why, sorry to cut you off. This is why I had concerns about the Bucks defense. Like I was telling you guys about Dame's defense, and I'm very concerned about that. Like the Grizzlies have three guys that like Zaire Williams is 24, Gigi Jackson is 27, and Vince Williams is 16. And this is a Memphis Grizzlies team that is 19 and 36, 6 and 20 at home, and they're at home right now. So if the Bucks, a 35 and 20 team, who's a top team in the East apparently, if they can't do that going into the All-Star break, if they can't defend a Grizzlies team, like I
Yeah.
have some major concerns about them,
That
like
was my
personnel
big
wise.
take on this game too. Is
Yep.
they should be up 20 on this team.
And Dame is 7 for 20 from the field. That is horrible.
Dame is
3 of
Dame
12
has
from
played
3.
terrible.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've seen him jack up some garbage shots. He's missed 2 wide open 3. Like he'll miss a 3. They kick it out to him for the rebound and second chance opportunity. He missed it. He bricked it again. So
the biggest thing is, that 4 out of 10 games, they've only won 4 of the last 10 games. And I did say before, it's going to be a close game. And it seems like I did pick the Bucks. But
and one.
It's crazy, man. Grizzlies
was that Moses that said it was going to be a close game? That's a great call, man.
Yeah,
great
because
call.
That 4 out of 10 wins, bro. It's 4 wins is bad.
Yeah.
Bucks, man.
I said Memphis was going to win
effect.
at the beginning. I don't know if you guys
I
heard.
don't think Doc Rivers is the answer.
Giannis is
Doc Rivers
15
is
for
a choke
17. 15 for 17 from the floor, Giannis.
I know.
We should count how long it
If
takes
you look at
the free throw.
You look at the 3-point shooting across the board, it is terrible for the night.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But
Man,
also,
look
at Giannis rebounding. I'm actually very surprised. Giannis only has like
3 rebounds
in a game.
Wow.
That's
he has
not
more assists.
good. That's real. Like he has 11 assists. That's great, but 3 rebounds for a 7-footer, that is not good.
Man, Vince Williams has a double-double.
Not really hustling.
But Gigi Jackson, he doesn't do anything else but score, man. He's got 27 points and 0 assists.
Hold on.
When I first saw his name, I thought that was a typo on the Grizzlies Twitter page.
Damian Lillard is 3 for 12 from the 3-point.
Ooh, man, that's not going to get it done.
Oh,
boy, shooting blanks.
You guys remember when Rodman had I think he had 30 rebounds and 0 points.
Yeah,
that was the craziest stat I've ever
Bad
seen.
defense. Bad defense.
oh my gosh.
See, Lamar Stevens, that guy was on the Celtics, I believe. I think they traded for him. I think Lamar Stevens was a Celtic.
7 out of
He wasn't playing at all for us.
Yeah, he wasn't.
7 out of 20 field goals from Dame. That's a real.
Ooh.
Yeah, Bucks ain't going nowhere in the playoffs this year. I'm sorry.
I mean, Middleton was also out in this game, but still,
That's true.
They should have won this one.
Well, it
True
seems
that,
like
yeah.
Middleton always misses at least half the season.
He's picking
Brook
up. He's
Lopez.
slack so hard that he's just killing the team with those 3 points, man.
How do you think Doc Rivers is feeling right now? That's the real question. He's
Listen,
listen. I'm a Clipper fan, so I've seen Doc Rivers at his worst. Like I've seen when he blows
But that's why
playoff
I'm
series.
surprised Doc Rivers is a defensive
just can't
coach. I
close
don't
him.
give him a defensive coach at all. Especially he's supposed to be a defensive coach and be more defensive schemes. It's where do we even seen it on the past coaching things when he was with the Clippers and also with the 76ers? Where was his defensive paralysis?
They were up 3-2 on the Celtics last year in the conference semis, and they blew that. It's how he should still be on ESPN doing
Do
broadcasting.
you guys
right
want
now.
me to share my screen to watch the ending of the game? Are you watching it?
I'm watching it, but like I said before, I think I may be a play
I
behind.
don't have the NBA pass just yet. I'm gonna get it next week.
It's on the screen here. We can't show the actual game on YouTube.
That's what it is. Okay.
Grant,
It's
as
on
a
TNT.
Clippers fan, what was worse? I'm curious. Was it blowing the 3-1 lead to the Rockets or blowing the 3-1 lead to the Nuggets?
I'll tell you what, and I'm glad you brought that up as a Rockets fan because the amount of grief that I had in that 2015 Rockets series, I don't think it could be matched by anything in my
Yeah,
life. Like I
because
was
you
at my
guys were up
lowest point
20.
ever. Like when Blake Griffin had that like 360 behind the head, like and one layup to make it like 106 to 89 or something at the end of the third. I was like, this is history. Like we're gonna finally get to the conference finals. And then Josh Smith decided to turn into 2016 Steph Curry and just destroy us. And it's crazy because David, they did that without Harden. Like
Ooh,
Harden was on the bench that whole run, and that's what made it where like I was devastated. I was devastated.
Josh Smith and Corey Brewer.
Yeah, I like those names haunt me now. Like every time I love those guys as players, but they haunt me, man. Like and the Nuggets one, like as for a Clipper fan, like in the bubble, it hurt, like it hurt a lot, but it was the bubble, so it was kind of like it took a lot. Like if the crowd was in it and it was at Crypto.com Arena or if it was in Denver, then I think it would hurt a lot more. Like I got over that one quick because the next year the Clippers got to their first conference finals, but your Rockets, man, they did a number on me for years. Like oh man, I'm haunted still by the ghosts of Josh Smith.
I love hearing a Josh Smith reference. That guy was like my go-to guy in fantasy NBA for his years when he was on Atlanta. Like
He's great, man.
I used to play in this league. It was 9 category rotisserie style, so you just had to win certain categories. And Josh Smith would be like 2 steals and 2 blocks a game.
Yeah,
And yeah, he was like my secret weapon.
he was a beast.
what do you guys think of that foul on Giannis? Sure seemed like a bailout kind of foul. I don't know
Yeah.
Yeah, I
if
don't
you
know what he
see
was
it.
thinking there.
There's like no time left.
Yeah, I thought
49
the clock
seconds.
had run out. It's hard to tell without sound what they're
Yeah,
saying, but
I don't know. I don't know why they're still trying to foul. Like they're down 7 with 50 seconds left. Like I
No,
know.
he just rammed into him.
you
It
never
was
give up. Never give
there's
up. You
point
got to
2
foul.
seconds left. Yeah.
Hey, that Reggie Miller comeback, they were down more than this with a
Yeah,
minute,
they were.
right?
Yeah, that's
Never
true.
give
But that
up.
was Reggie Miller too. So like,
Dame is supposed to be at that level.
I know.
3 for
3
12.
of 12. 3 for 12. It's crazy. Bucks had a bad night, like a really bad shooting night, except for Giannis. Giannis was ultra efficient, but everyone else, 5 of 14 from Lopez, 7 of 20 from Dame. Like Beasley was 1 for 8 from 3, and that's all he does. Like that's all he's out there for, and he did not do it.
I mean, Dame's doing good in free throws, but that's a gimme. But I mean,
Yeah.
3 for 12, man, Jesus.
How have they looked with Middleton on the court too?
Still not that great. Like even when Middleton was healthy, like he looked mega washed. Like he looked like he lost like 3 steps, not even one. Like he was like I think the last time I've seen him play like ultra good was against the Celtics in 22, like in that second round series. He was
Yeah.
actually pretty good then, but he got hurt again. Like he gets hurt all the time now. So like that finals run and then the year after was like his last best years, I think. Like he was really, really good.
Look at them. They are pumped. Memphis is
I feel like
pumped
the
up right
Bucks are
now.
like Captain
No
Ohio.
drama, no Desmond Bain.
They're acting like this is their championship.
Yeah.
It's a regular season game. They're all straight.
They're gonna have Patrick Beverly take his shirt off and throw it into the crowd like he did with the
Yeah.
Wolves. Watch.
Are they gonna
That
storm
was
the
funny.
court?
That was-
I hope they don't storm the court. That'd
I'm
be
not
fun.
even, once Dame runs into Drew Holiday and Derek White, like he's going nowhere against Boston.
Oh, that's yeah, exactly.
Do
Just
NBA
curious.
fans ever storm the court?
No,
That's not a thing. That's college.
no.
Just curious, is everybody gonna
That'd be
watch
funny.
the All-Star festivities this weekend? Like the dunk contest, the skills challenge, all that?
It's crazy because like I have no interest in the dunk contest, and I want to see the 3-point. Like I'll watch it because Jaylen Brown's in it, and Jaylen Brown's electric. But the 3-point contest, it's crazy because it flipped now. Like everyone wants to see the 3-point contest, and not a lot of people want to see the slam dunk because you don't have stars.
Yeah.
Like I know you have Jaylen Brown, but if you had like John Morant in there, if you had like Zion in there, like imagine the ratings for that. Like I want to see that.
Yeah.
Like maybe
Or even,
next
like,
year or something.
Little rematch with Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon.
Yeah,
Both
man.
those
I want to
guys are
see
hurt.
like the stars play, man. I want to see them compete.
I used to love the Dwight Howard, Blake Griffin, that stuff
Yeah,
back.
man.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
man.
Hey David, I'm curious in seeing Steph Curry versus Sabrina
Oh, that's
Ionescu
fun.
in that shootout. I think that's what I'm most excited
Be a
for.
fun one.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, that is going to be so crazy, and like the hype for it. Like I think me personally, it's going to be very close. But I think
What?
Sabrina Ionescu. I'm going to go with Sabrina Ionescu going to pull through.
Sabrina's a shooter, and I hope
Hey,
a
the
lot of
Bucks are
Yeah.
down
NBA fans
3.
tune in.
It could force overtime here.
Did
I
the
look
Oh
good.
wow, Malik Beasley made a jump shot, made a 3-pointer. Oh wow.
Who made
I'm
a three?
shocked
Easily.
the Pistons had two guys in the All-Star, like the Rising Star game. I did
Yeah,
not
so
know.
tomorrow night's broadcast, we'll do the
That's
select. We're
crazy.
mostly going to do McAfee stuff at 7, and then we'll tune into this tomorrow night. What are they doing with these 4 teams in this tomorrow? I haven't really read up on how this is going to work.
That's
Yeah,
where
I
they do
think
the
it,
skills
Pistons,
challenge. Like they'll dribble the ball, do the layup, pass it through the thing, and then they'll do like the piece from half court. They do all sorts of wacky stuff.
They don't. This
Yeah.
isn't an actual game.
No, it's a
Yeah,
game. It's like a
yeah, it
quote
is.
quote little tournament like
Yeah,
type
yeah.
deal. Like they're just trying to make it like interesting. I don't know. I feel like they should have just gone back to like the rookies and sophomores. I feel like that was like more fun for the Rising Stars Challenge than like
Yeah. Is
making
this
it
at least
I
all the
like that.
rookies? Are they together by class? No, they got Pinchero and
No.
Henderson.
how
Yeah, I
good
think
are
it's just
those
mixed.
how good are those Pistons guys? I didn't know the
Ugh.
Pistons like were good.
They're not
No, they're
good.
really bad.
They have no more than 10 wins right now.
But
Yeah.
you got two guys in the Rising Stars. That's
I mean,
surprising.
That doesn't mean anything.
yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Those are the best players.
Just
for
curious because
sure.
I haven't watched the Pistons much this year, and I know he didn't play last year. But what do y'all think about Cade Cunningham?
Oh
He's a
man,
baller. I think he should have played for Team USA this last season. I don't know why
I
he wasn't
agree.
made the roster. You know, they said in practice he looked like one of the best players. But I love Cade.
Me too.
That
It's crazy
Boston-
because like the Pistons have talent, and I just don't know why they're so bad. Because like I thought they would be a little bit better this year, and they're just
Yeah,
because I love Ivy, I
Duran.
love Duran, I love Cunningham. Like that's a good young core that they have. So I'm like
Yeah, if
very
that was a
very
college
surprised.
team, they would definitely be the favorites to win March Madness. It's just weird to see them be be one of the worst NBA teams.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
It takes time to develop, though. You know, LeBron didn't make the playoffs his first 2 years. You know, that's Cunningham's kind of still, he can get his stats and his shot off, but he's not really winning yet. I was going to
Still
ask
very
about
young.
this bottom team here. I honestly have never heard of any of these people on that.
Oh, that's the G Leaguers. Those are
Oh,
all guys
so-
that's in the G League. Yeah.
No
Yeah,
wonder.
Mac McClung, he's gonna be in the dunk contest. He's
Yeah,
pretty.
he is.
Did you guys see the dunk contest last year with Mac
Yeah,
McClung?
dude, he's got bounce.
Oh
He's got
yeah,
Yeah,
that
bounce.
was unbelievable.
It was pretty cool.
Greg, I bet you've heard of Oscar. He's the Kentucky guy who like literally got a ton of rebounds. Like
Mhm.
literally would get like 20 rebounds a game. He played at Kentucky, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
Maybe
think I
that's
do-
another Oscar.
No, I think you might be right. I
Yeah,
remember.
I think you're right, Will.
I just, from an NBA standpoint, I didn't recognize any of those names. I'm like, I can't have missed that much of what's going on this year. I know I don't really start tuning in till Christmas. I wish the NBA would just start on Christmas. The biggest reason is they lose the whole fantasy NBA season. Nobody wants to draft a fantasy NBA
Right.
team in October when the middle of football. But Christmas comes and
The
I'm
final
like,
shot.
Oh my
That's it.
God.
That's it.
as soon as Christmas comes, all 92 of my fantasy football teams are out of the playoffs by then.
Do you guys
And,
do any baseball? If we
Damian
were to make like a
Lillard just,
baseball league, I've
Threw a
never
nice
done
little
that.
charge there.
I know that was a great defensive play actually. Like that's the
Hey,
best
God.
defense I've seen the Bucks play.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
That's it. That's it.
Wait till you see this ending if you're behind. They got a shot off to tie it.
The Bucks are
Oh
not.
my God, what is happening?
Look like Giannis with the handles there.
Oh,
Wow.
that was horrible.
The Milwaukee chokes.
Hey, that makes Dame 3 of 13 now from 3.
That's horrible, bro.
Yeah, I definitely believe Milwaukee, if like they want to make a run like in the playoffs, like I know the trade deadline is over, but they need to dip into the buyout market and get like somebody, a shooter. Like I think Joe Harris is out there. Like I know he's streaky as a shooter, but they need somebody because this is terrible right
Yeah,
here.
that's bad.
Yeah, they're looking at a first round exit.
Bucks, yeah, they're getting bounced out first round, bro. This is horrible.
I don't know about the first round, but I don't see them. I don't see them advancing past the into the finals.
They need that scrappy player that will take charges and dive for loose balls. I mean, I see Giannis do it, but you gotta have someone else doing that
Brook
too.
Lopez has been
Right,
on the ground a
right.
lot, man. That was a surprise. I saw him on the ground at least 3 times, and it takes him a little bit of time to get up too. 'Cause he's older.
One of my favorite
Right.
players in the league right now is Brandon Przemski. He actually leads
yeah.
the league. He leads the league in charges taken. So one of my favorite rookies. If you guys haven't seen him play, highlight him when next time you
love
see a
Pods.
Warriors game on.
Pods is awesome, man. I think the Lakers missed on that. They should have drafted him.
I knew this was going to be a close game, man. But it's sad that Dame had that. I didn't expect Dame to perform like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't either. I know I was trashing him earlier, but I didn't expect him to be that bad, man. Like,
Well, guys, it's been a really fun night. We've been going strong for 4 hours now. That's a long time. Appreciate all your contributions here today. We are back on tomorrow at 7 for the we'll do some more Pat McAfee takes and then the Rising Stars at 9. And have a great rest of your night, everyone.
Yeah, you too,
all
Greg.
right. See you guys. Good to meet you guys.
Have a good night.
Nice
You'll have
meeting
a
you,
good night.
Jordan, Vincent.